Hey everybody, we are Easy Allies. Welcome to our Tuesday night group stream, a very special Tuesday night group stream because this is the 11th Hall of Greats.
It's the 11th Hall of Greats. Well done, Jones.
The 11th Hall of Greats.
Also, Stadia launched today.
Big day.
That also happened. Did it? Did it actually happen?
Yeah.
Isn't it like...
We got our codes at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
It's like the LA of launch. It's like, whoa.
Oh, yeah, we'll get our equipment sometime this week.
I want to fire up Red Dead 2 on max settings, dude. Make this thing put its money where its mouth is.
You'll have to wait until they get games.
It's
not 4K 60, dude. What? Red Dead does not 4K 60.
What will run better?
1080 60?
Google Stadia or Hall of Greats?
60?
Yeah. You're about to find out.
Google Stadia.
So
Google Stadia.
Spoilers. So here's how this works. Here's what this is. This is a induction ceremony into the official Easy Allies Hall of Greats. We have done this 10 times before, and we've got, which means 20 games are now in the Easy Allies Hall of Greats. Fantastic games. All of us brought a game, with the exception of Michael Damiani, who's just going to be on the controls, just going to be behind the camera, behind the TV. Just the 8 gentlemen that you see on camera right now all brought games that we are going to talk about, and we are going to try to get into the Hall of Greats. We're going to do that through 2 5-minute sessions. The first 5-minute session is going to be our monologue, our speech, our TED Talk explaining why the game is good. Some people made videos, some people did presentations, and then once that is done, we will do an additional 5 minutes of cross-examination where all of the allies in the room will get a chance to ask questions, and then we will all vote on it, and then we will decide at the end what 2 games, based on those votes, will be inducted into the Hall of Greats. If there's a tie, it'll be decided by our community, and we will talk about that and announce that in a week, in the next Tuesday Hall of Greats. Did I miss anything?
Jones, you did great.
Are you cold? Is that why you got the jacket on? You're styling for this Hall of Greats.
Jack, this is my uniform. This is my Hall of Greats uniform.
Nah.
I'm here to compete, baby.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hall of Greats.
Woof. We got all 8 allies here. I'm going to jumble these up. You want to cut those for me, Brad?
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, chat, we can't see it.
It's hard to cut.
Yeah.
Worth explaining, we've turned off our chat monitor, so we cannot read what you're saying.
Damiani can.
Damiani can, so don't say anything mean about Damiani, but otherwise go nuts.
This can be a very tense, emotional evening for everybody. We are talking about stuff that we're very passionate about. We want to try to find, ride the line between wanting to get it in, but accepting that sometimes, most of the time, it just doesn't happen for each ally.
That is worth saying, actually.
Wait, am I voting?
You're not, dude. You wish.
No, chat ask you.
If you don't present, you don't vote.
I think you should vote.
I
think you
should
get to
vote.
No.
I think you should single-handedly pick.
voting.
If he votes for mine, you can.
Why can't he vote?
Because I'm not presenting.
But Stadia's smoother.
I think you earn the right to vote.
It's an observer.
If you're allowed to bring your own game, I would agree. But because you're not allowed to bring your own game, Damiani coming in without
Bring your
presenting
own game?
Sorry, vote for your own game.
Oh, yeah.
In a way, he's the most neutral party possible.
He's not, because we can't vote for our own games.
But still.
I do want to make it super clear that the cross-examination is for goofs. A game must earn its way into the Hall of Greats. But the reason we've turned chat off is how nasty it gets during those cross-examinations.
It is for goofs?
But it doesn't have to be nasty. Everybody can be nice.
Everybody could be nice.
I don't know if for goofs is the best way to put it.
Chad, if you stop being nasty, we'll turn you back on.
Are they nasty?
Sometimes there's not a real serious argument to bring, right? So you're just you're trying to find anything that could possibly work. To put a chink in that armor.
Right, you clarified this last time, but it's been a while. No one gets extra time anymore, right? Even because I'm not presenting.
Oh no, there's Damiani minutes.
So there are. Last time you said no.
Okay, it looks like no. It looks like no.
Wait.
Just the reaction.
I just want to make it clear. I came in tonight. It was I have a couple of ideas. Boston Hall Greats, and you have some of yours stressed out. You were like, I don't want to change anything. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Huber's
but now
giving me some
Damiani minutes.
Huber's giving me
I'm giving Don 1 or 2 of my minutes.
You can't have a Huber's minutes. So let's do an agreement right now. Can we do Damiani minutes? Yes or no, group?
Yes.
Who wants Damiani minutes?
Isn't it always messy?
It's always messy.
It's super messy.
I like the chaotic nature
What are we raising our hands about?
So yes.
Extra minutes for being able to split up Damiani's minutes.
Damiani, you gotta break this split. Do you want
Damiani can't vote?
We already decided that.
Alright, so split vote goes to status quo. No Damiani minutes. We cut off at 5 minutes for every presentation. Okay. Alright.
We tried.
Maybe let them finish their sentence.
Wait, yeah, we could split his minutes evenly between the 8 of us.
That's what. No,
And then everyone
that's what
gets, no, but everyone but everyone gets it automatically.
You
And
get
if they don't
30
use
seconds?
it,
Okay, so
yeah, if they don't
you
use
run
it,
over
then you
time,
don't use it.
you get thrown a random math problem. If you can solve it, you get an extra minute.
That was 4th grade. That's crazy stuff.
Oh,
All right,
That was your
Are
4th
we
grade.
ready?
Who's first?
Are we ready?
I'm
Yes.
ready. I'm ready.
I'm never
Never.
going to be ready.
The first person to do their presentation today for the 11th Hall of Grades is me!
All right. I'm prepping my timer.
Yeah. Get up here.
I can move here. Good luck, Jones!
Thanks, Huber.
Crash and burn, Jonesy!
Crash and burn!
Crash and Burns Jonesy sounds like such an 80s or 90s action
Well,
movie.
there was an 80s movie called, I think, Crash
That's
and
a Huey
Burn,
Lewis and the
where they-
B-side.
where they
They
fought robots.
It should be on right
They
now.
fought
Okay,
robots
okay.
and they would
Just
say
make sure
crash
everyone
and
is
burn to
blinked.
each other
Okay,
instead of good luck.
That's so
Crash
So do you
and burn.
see
They would say
yourselves?
crash and
Yes.
burn.
Yes, we see ourselves. All right.
Do I get a presentation?
Looking bad.
Bad bone.
Sorry.
All right, I'll start the timer
Burn,
whenever you
burn.
start whatever.
Can't let you take the man's wheels, son.
All right.
What?
Just let me know, Jones.
All right.
And I'll make adjustments on the fly.
Cool, cool, cool.
Doing your thumbs up.
Go for it. Plants vs. Zombies, baby. All right. Everybody knows this game, you have to protect your house on the left from the zombies that are coming in on the right, okay? What I love about this game, you're always learning new strategies. So there's 48 different types of plants, 25 different types of zombies. At the end of every single level in the campaign, you get a new plant. It's like getting a new gun at the end of a level in a first-person shooter, and you get to use that gun. The next level in the game is specifically telling you now you need to learn how to use that item. And I really dig that every time I go through the campaign. There are 5 areas: front yard day, front yard night, backyard pool, the backyard fog. Fog comes in, you got to blow the fog back. And the roof, where you have to put pots down if you want to put plants in it. Every area's level 5 is a mini game, like bowling here. So they change it up, even though it doesn't take that long to go through the campaign. They still change it up with lots of fun mini games. That is just the campaign. Here's everything else that is in this game. When you play it again, Crazy Dave picks 3 plants that you have to use for every level. You can unlock plants in a Zen garden that you can plant, you can raise and place them wherever you want. There are a ton of different mini games, including Zombotany, where zombie plants shoot at you. A slot machine where you have to gamble sun for new plants. It's Raining Seeds, which gives you random plants you have to use right away. Begooled, which is basically Bejeweled. Zombaquarium, where you feed brains to swimming zombies. Portal Combat, where portals move your projectiles around. Zombie Nimble, Zombie Quick, where everything goes a lot faster. Whack-a-Zombie, which is, relatively self-explanatory. Last Stand, where you get all of your sun up front and you have to set everything up before the level starts. And my personal favorite, Column Like You See 'Em, where every plant takes up an entire column. There are also 2 puzzle modes with different difficulty tiers. There's Vase Breaker, which is really, really tricky because there's a bunch of vases on screen, and every time you click one, you have no idea what's in it. So it could be a zombie, it could be a plant, and you have to, move around on the fly. And then there's iZombie, where you actually control the zombies themselves, and you have to get to the left and have each of the zombies eat those brains on the left. Surprisingly tricky mode. And finally, there are 2 survival modes for each map, where you have to clear 10 levels straight. So you can go back to the previous levels. You can go back to pool, or you can go back to the roof and play these specifically. And then the sun carries over between every single level, so that's all of the different modes that are in the game. I love the art style of this game. Every single time I boot this game up, this game is 10 years old. I think the art style still holds up because I think they did a really fun cartoony style that I think is fun and timeless. I think the humor is goofy. It's not annoying. It's really easy to skip past. This is the achievement list, and if you scroll all the way down on the achievement list, China. The game is not incredibly difficult, but it can get very challenging. Both Vasebreaker and iZombie are near impossible at the highest levels. And there's also endless modes of some of the bonus modes, so that it just never ends. And that's one of the things when I go back and replay this game, which I do almost every single year. I will go back and play these endless modes, and you are inevitably going to get destroyed. Like Gargantuars are just going to come in and just wipe everybody out. And so it's fun to go back and try these different modes. And even just the survival mode here, it's just kind of fun to, think of different, configurations and just really like put the game through its paces. And I know performance-wise, this is not a very high-demanding game, but I just think visually it's very pleasing once you set all this stuff up. In conclusion, this game is very silly, but I think there's definitely strategy to it. You can pick all the different plants that you bring for every level. So even though when I go through the campaign, it's not particularly challenging, when I play endless modes, when I play the other bonus mini games, it's fun to try out different types of things. Here I am just using like the corn on the cobs, and I use the corn cannons. So you can see me like bombing dudes. And it's just fun visually to be like, I wonder if I just use spikes or if I just use one type of plant, how far I will get or how much damage I can do. This game is all about momentum, and that's why I love tower defense. I love games where you start very small, but then you slowly build up stuff as you go along, and then you're just doing a ton of damage by the end of the game. I think it's extremely replayable. I come back, like I said, and play it almost every year. The campaign's only about 5 or 6 hours long. The music is really fun. The end credits is a music video like Portal. It is currently available on PC, Mac, iPhone, iPad, Android, Xbox 360, PS3, DS, Vita, and Blackberries. Amanda played it on an airplane one time, on the screen on an airplane. The Game of the Year edition is currently on Steam for $5. Plants vs. Zombies.
No! 5 seconds left.
Nice.
Oh yeah, do you guys want the 1 minute warning or not?
I like it.
You guys like it?
Yeah,
okay.
I like
it.
Because I feel bad, like I don't want to interrupt, but I want you to know
It's
where
not
you're at.
intrusive.
Okay, cool. I'll start at the first question.
All right, Kyle, let her rip. Johns, I want to say, great presentation. I love that you timed it well. You everything you were saying matched with what we were watching.
That was excellent. Shout out.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that was excellent, Jones. I noticed that too. That was excellent.
And that is hard to do.
Yeah, dude.
Jones, to get you have to know this is a dark horse.
Sure.
You have to know this game has little to no chance to get votes tonight. And so I wonder if you made a case for this game really to be one of the greats.
Sure, I think, well, it's playful in nature. It's not something like this game, it is a dark horse, but it is kind of an underdog at the same time. Like, this game is $5 on Steam, and listen to all those modes. Like, this is something I've gone back and played, and I legitimately get enjoyment out of it. So, it's kind of like when we had the argument for Hearthstone and Hall of Greats. It's like, if I'm playing this game every day, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm having a blast, and there's no glitches, and it's really well done, and it's more value than I think I'm actually putting money in, that sounds like a really great game. You know, that sounds really fantastic. And when you think of a lot of like indie games, when you think about this game was available on PS3 and 360, but it took a while to come to those consoles. So this was pre a lot of like popular indie PC games. This kind of like, not necessarily like kicked off that charge, but I remember like, I think this was around like 2000, I think it was 2009. Like this did come out before a lot of games that it was surprising at the time. Like when I heard about this, I think it was like Patrick Morales or it was Ryan Stevens. I was like playing on a PC and I'm like, what's this goofy thing? And he like looked at me very seriously. He's like, this game's amazing. Like this is just really fun. And so I at least wanted it to bring to Hall of Greats, you know, once because while I definitely can't equate it on the emotional level or of something like a Last of Us or a Witcher, I keep coming back to this game and I enjoy it just as much as when I first did. And so I think it's that lasting power of this game that really impresses me.
Important question. Was it Patrick Morales or Ryan Stevens?
I believe it was Ryan Stevens. Might have been just as good.
All right.
I think it was Ryan
Points.
Stevens.
It would have meant more if it was Patrick.
Yeah.
He was on that right PC, Station 5. Station 5, yeah. Plants vs. Zombies.
I know the modes are like different challenges. There's a lot of different modes that make you do different things, but it still feels like you're just throwing down the same kind of plants and doing kind of the same thing. Like, how different does each thing feel, Jones?
Different enough to amuse you for like a short amount of time. Different enough for you to find your favorites. Like I'm saying, I love that call. Like I have PvZ on my phone. And like if I'm, it's one of my favorite offline games. A lot of the mobile games I play require an online connection, and so I like when I don't have internet, when I don't have, you know, when I'm like in a tunnel or something, I'm like, I can just crack open PvZ, and I almost always go to call them, like see them because it's just a quick 5-minute thing. And so I think, yeah, like they're like zombie aquarium, like it's good enough for you to be like, oh, that was kind of fun. Anyway, moving on. And so I don't expect it, you know, it doesn't do more than that, but there are so many modes and so many different options. And again, it's not a game that I think you should spend 40 hours playing. Like, it is something that I think once, after 6, 7, 8 hours, you are completely done, which is not bad for $5. Yeah.
So Jones, I was wondering, because I love playing games over and over again, right? Even if it's a similar experience, but I'm curious about this. Is it the same every year when you play through it? Is it sort of the same run through, like really similar, but just as satisfying? Or is it actually... Is it a different strategies that you find and stuff like that as you go through every year? Or is it just the same sort of familiar, really cozy thing that you just like doing? Like, I love doing that too, you know what I mean?
It's a little bit of both, Don, because the campaign is definitely the same thing every single time. With the exception of, obviously, like the first 2 times I played it, I definitely was like, oh, wait, I forgot how to do this, or oh, this part is tricky, where right now I don't necessarily sweat it that much. I actually love playing this mostly on iPad, because you play clicking on a mouse after like a couple hours, it takes a lot out of you. But the endless mode, specifically, as I've gotten older, as I've played other strategy games, as I've gotten more experienced as a gamer, I've come back to that endless mode and been like, wait a minute, I know what to do. Because a lot of it is about space management, specifically like what you put in what column, what you put in what row, because the zombies are moving all over the place and their abilities really try to shake you up. And so when they just dump like 8 different zombie types all at once, it's really tricky to try to figure out like how to block them all. And so after a couple of years, I will have a different strategy, and I'll just get 1 or 2 more levels farther than I usually do. And it's fun because it tracks that on my PC and it tracks it on my phone. So I'll be like, oh, I got to level 26 instead of 25. All right.
Cool. So Brandon, I really like Plants vs. Zombies, but there's always this point where I feel like I kind of slide off of it. Because there's kind of this...
Don't you wish we had the Damiani minutes now?
Ben was going to say something smart.
I bet that was a good... Ben was going to bring it together.
Sliding right off. Is it going to have a good argument?
Ben was going to crack the case wide open.
Dang it.
Saved by the bell.
Case wide open.
All right, coming up next, Kyle Bossman.
All right.
Okay.
Ben, it was such a setup, dude.
Yeah.
I really felt the momentum of your question.
For the burn your
We'll never
meter,
know.
dude.
We'll never know.
Burn your
Question.
Getting set up here.
Getting set up.
Get so, chat.
We don't know. We can't see you, but we assume you're just screaming.
Kyle, your
for a
card and my
sec,
card are very similar, so
What?
anytime you
Kyle,
get
can you
picked,
give me a sec? I
I
always
think it's
forget how
me,
to
and I get scared.
Oh, yeah, we got the same shirt.
I'm scared.
Yeah, so...
Very nice.
There should be a
Look at our
presents
wonderful sponsors.
in like the upper right-hand corner, which is not there. Go back.
Yeah.
You can just give it to him on the TV. He's got a mouse.
Well, I want him
He's going to. He's going to give it to us.
he's
Just
going
gonna spoil it.
Sideshow.
Damiana's going
Oh,
to give
from
it to you.
beginning.
But when it does it,
X gonna give it to you.
What?
What? Yeah, this is weird stuff. Dude. It's not acting right.
Was that it?
Davis.
You remember?
No.
I'm so happy you were...
Got a shiny
DMX is
wrist.
the official sponsor of Gun Industry.
Oh, okay,
DMX
so
and
you
Weezer.
hit this
Got
right
a
there.
bug bite or something.
Next, right, hit that.
What?
You rushed. That's and my skin is
Okay,
burning.
so
Oh,
you're going
are you making that?
It's callousing. It's callousing over.
Yeah. Do show taskbar? Oh.
Did you get to play anything on City, or did you just set up your name?
Click that weird
Okay,
button that looks like a
I
monitor.
it wouldn't even let me finish the account setup process. I was just going through it and it was like, unexpected error. And I was like, okay, Stadia, I'll try again. And then it said unexpected error, and I was like, all right.
Oh man.
Yeah, don't do that. Open
You didn't even set up
out of
your
it, hit
account.
enter, and it was like, no.
It was.
Was it just a Google form too?
What's up?
Was it a
Yeah.
Google
Well, it's like-
form?
it's
Did they
like-
use
it's like-
Google Forms?
It's like the dumbest. It's like the dumbest thing ever because
Yeah, now
they
presents
send you
in
an
the upper right-hand
email
corner.
and they're like, "Here's your code. Download the
So that should do
app
it.
and then enter the code and then make the
So
account on
you
your
can't
phone."
see
It's
it
just
right
like
now, right?
Right.
So give me a sec.
the most needless,
Right.
convoluted
That's
thing.
insanity.
But you can't play the game on your phone yet.
Right.
Unless you have the Google phone. Yeah.
Right.
Dude, this mouse.
High performance.
Yeah, man.
Oh, is this their sponsored mouse?
Now you're playing with
No, that's the mouse I bought because I like that mouse when we were buying computer for the control room.
You been playing Counter-Strike on the side, Ian?
Yeah, baby.
This is a Counter-Strike mouse.
That's a Logitech G502.
That mouse looks like the tumbler.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mouse
Yes.
that's made for people
503.
with,
It fits my
The
hand.
scene is live for
with
out
7
for
fingers.
chat.
It fits my
You'll
hand
see a
perfectly.
blank screen.
Great.
You should be able to see it.
Can they see us as well?
And you should have control.
And they do see us as well. Great.
Yeah.
Knock, knock.
And I won't touch anything till you're done.
Okay.
X going to give it to you.
Well,
I think we're ready to go. I'm just gonna wait for this thing to like
see
bop
a
down.
mouse.
Yeah, I just need that to bop down.
bop down, TV.
You're gonna make it stay up.
There we go.
Blood knows the code.
Okay, here we go. Ian, good? Okay. When I bring a game to the Hall of Greats, basically I have 3 criteria. Legacy, influence, greatness today.
Nice.
I've pressed these a long time in many of my presentations. The game I bring today, to me, exemplifies all of these things in such a crazy way that I can't believe it's still not in the Hall of Greats. I brought this game. This game has existed in the Hall of Greats before. It's been presented before. It does rhyme with Begaban Begins. The game I'm bringing today is Dungeons and Dragons. Now, Dungeons and Dragons is the daddy of great games.
What?
I know what you're feeling right now because we've been here before. You're feeling mad. Blood, I know you're feeling mad. And here, I want you to feel less mad. And here's how I'm going to do this. Now, Dungeons and Dragons, I'm going to make the case, Bloodworth, has had more direct influence over the greats than any of the other greats. This game has traceably, factually influenced all of these games in incredible ways. Bloodworth, still not convinced, still mad. How about we talk about this? It's the 70s. I love Lord of the Rings. I want to play a game that's like Lord of the Rings. How do I do this? How do I make a game out of an adventure? How do I even do this? How do I take this story I love, stories I've been telling for hundreds of years, and make it a game that I can play? Well, how about experience points and leveling up? I could stop here. We could start and stop with these 2 points. Because here's what experience points and leveling up came from, Daniel Bloodworth. From Dungeons and Dragons. Sure, there's a couple of weird games that led up to it. None of those games have this legacy. Dungeons and Dragons created this, mastered this. Having a character who accrues experience points and levels up is Dungeons and Dragons. And 40 years later, we're still using those words. This is why I'm talking about traceable to Bloodworth. Because you could say Pong. Pong started everything. Everybody owes everything to Pong. And I would say make the case that no, eventually we would have made video games after Pong. Like Pong didn't create video games. It was sure the first popular one, but it's not like we're all still playing Pong. We're all still collecting experience points. Ben, we're all still leveling up. Think of how many greats we are collecting experience points and leveling up in.
I can't argue with facts.
How crazy is this?
I can't do it.
Hit points! We're still using the word hit points in 2019 that a bunch of dumb guys in the 70s came up with for how much can a person get hurt. What is the value of that? We're still calling them hit points. Think of how many greats still use hit points. How to gamify our adventure. How to make it, okay, this person got hit this much, or this person got hit this much. You can take this many things. They're turning this story into a game through a simple mechanic of hit points. Enemies still giving us hit points. We still have hit points as a statistic. We'll get to statistics. But first I want to talk about upgrading weapons, armors, abilities. So, you read through the Lord of the Rings, right? How many times is Frodo going to upgrade his elf armor? Once? He's got elf mail. He's got elf mail.
That's Bilbo.
Bilbo's got elf mail. So, like, how many times is Bilbo going to upgrade his elf mail, right? Not that often. And so, in Dungeons and Dragons, you upgrade all the time because we've got to make it a game, right? If you just stand and sit in the game and you have the same armor the whole time, you have the same abilities, you have the same weapon, right? How many times is Gandalf going to change his staff? But in Dungeons and Dragons, you upgrade your staff all the time. You have increased stats because we're making it a game. We're making a story, a character where you care about your character, and still, how many of greats are we upgrading? In how many of the greats do we have a persistent character who does get new abilities, does get new armor, does get new weapons? Many, many of them. I want to talk about random elements real quick. Rolling the dice.
Oh, 1 minute.
Oh boy, no, forget about it. You know what? Look at our stats.
Right.
Look at strength, constitution, dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. Why are we still upgrading those stats? Why do we have stats in our video games today? Because Dungeons & Dragons nailed it down. Locked it in. They had it from the beginning, and we still do that. We still do that exact same thing they did in the 70s. That's insane. So, right now you're feeling scared. You know it's a great. But you're wondering, what? If a tabletop game gets in the Hall of Greats, what about movies now? Books? Is anything fair game? And here's what I would say. If you have a single game or movie or book that has any influence that Dungeons & Dragons does, I'll listen to you. But you don't have one. Nobody is close to the influence, direct, traceable influence Dungeons & Dragons has on the games we consider great today than Dungeons & Dragons.
Time.
Whew.
What about the Lord of the Rings?
Right on time.
If that's your first question, I'll do it.
Yeah, we gotta start a timer.
Okay, start the timer. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I mean.
So Ben, Lord of the Rings.
Wait, yeah, it wasn't my question. It was a joke. It was a joke. I have a real question though.
Okay.
And this is just me playing ball. Play ball with me, Kyle.
Play ball? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you talked about the influence that it had.
Yes.
Okay. Let's extend that way out.
Okay.
And let's think about the most controversial things in video games today.
Okay.
Let's think about monetization
And Gamergate.
how people are.
Yeah. I'm thinking about Gamergate. Go on.
Okay. That one is as bad as we're not there. Like that's like subhuman. We're like we're bad, but we're not that bad. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we think about like progression and monetization, how everything has RPG elements now.
Yes.
Where everything is just kind of like chopped off the block. Do you think it has influenced it in such a way where it's become like so pervasive that it's like limited other ideas? Like I feel like there are a lot of times RPGs are like, okay, well, we have to do it this way because people are so familiar with this blueprint. You have to gain experience this way. You have to level up this way. And so sometimes I think influence can be so dominating that it can be stifling.
Ben, I hear you, and yet, just last time we lit in Witcher 3, we lit in Last of Us. We're leveling up in both of those things. You know, we are, maybe not leveling up in Last of Us, but you know, there are RPG elements.
You level up your weapon.
Yeah. It's can be misused for sure, dude, but it's just so good. It's so innate. It's so innately enjoyable, and it just creates an investment. These mechanics that were created years and years and years ago, decades ago, still apply to the things that we love.
I'm ready, Blood. Do you have one?
Go, Josh.
You bringing Dungeons & Dragons is kind of like you bringing Mario. It's literally like saying Mario. Because there's been multiple campaigns, multiple books. So it's like, I think it's a little unfair because it's like, oh, the last 40 years of Dungeons & Dragons. It's like, that's like saying Nintendo. You know, it's like, do you agree? Like,
I don't. That's why I brought it.
Wouldn't you say, like, shouldn't it be first edition? That you're bringing? It's like, I'm bringing first edition. Like, you talk about the 70s. Like, talk about specifically the rule set that were created in the 70s.
Tetris. I'm talking about one game, the game called Dungeons & Dragons.
Right, but when you brought Tetris, you weren't talking about Tetris 99. Like, that's...
I was talking about Tetris.
Right.
The game where you spin pieces and get Tetris.
Right, right. I just think Dungeons & Dragons is such a broad thing that it's unfair to anyone who's bringing one game. I think then that opens up the floodgates to that person.
Is it unfair because it's obvious and it should get in? You're in the scared phase right now.
It's unfair because there are multiple editions of it. Because if you come over to my house and play D&D, we're going to play Dungeons & Dragons. You have no idea what campaign we're doing. You have no idea where we're going. You have no idea what story we're doing.
Yeah.
It matters to me. I'm not going to show up and you're going to be like, okay, we're all just going to sit in a bathhouse for 2 hours. You're like, that's not what I showed up.
That's a beauty of Dungeons & Dragons.
I don't know if you've played D&D with Kyle before, but...
I would love to be in a bathhouse.
He would get you there. Yeah, he would get you there.
The other thing is I would say the personal computer is on par with Dungeons & Dragons. As far as video games existing, none of this would work if we couldn't simulate it in an environment on a television. And we can do that because the PC was created. So I would bring a PC to Hall of Greats if you're going to bring Dungeons & Dragons to Hall of Greats.
I dare you to. I dare you to bring a PC.
We would be playing video games if the PC hadn't been invented.
So, Jonesy, this is the case where this is like the Pong thing, right? It's like, would it have eventually been created? People were playing games, obviously, before Dungeons & Dragons. They were rolling dice on a table.
Right.
But the case for Dungeons & Dragons is how direct it is, man. It's like, we are still playing that game. We are still doing those things. We are still... NPCs is a phrase from Dungeons and Dragons.
Baseball is megabytes and monitors and all
megabytes. Who's talking about megabytes right now?
When you download a game on your PS4, like you use all of that terminology that was used in the creation of a personal computer.
I invite you to bring the PC next time.
That's not a real analog. The analog would be if he's bringing tables, because he wants tabletop gaming in. That's the PC is to gaming as table is to D&D, sort of. It's like not an analog.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with your arguments about influence. I mean, it's all direct, it's all traceable, it's all fine. Like, it makes sense. But to me, it's just a categorization thing. We're talking about video games. I mean, you could bring tennis, you could bring chess, you could bring football, you know, like all of these things.
Easily, but show me their influence on our greats. Show me the influence that football has had on the games in the Hall of Greats.
Also, we invented Hall of Greats and never said it had to be video.
Yeah, I thought it did.
It's
where?
intrinsically about video games.
Sure.
Your assumption was
it's
that
about video games.
You could
What I'm
bring
saying
like
is this.
a puzzle book, you know, like.
But it wouldn't. The puzzle book has
wouldn't get
had
in.
less of an influence on the games that we consider great than Dungeons and Dragons does. Nothing is close to Dungeons and Dragons.
Sure, but because it has an influence doesn't mean that it's actually the thing in there.
Time.
Oh. Okay.
I'm bringing Endgame next time.
Both of those things.
Straight up, I'm bringing Endgame.
Avengers?
We can trace this moment back as the Kyle snap.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
All right, here we
Endgame,
go.
Hall of Greats.
The next person up is Ian Hink.
Okay.
I'm so nervous. God.
We're all gonna end up sick somehow. It's just like,
We're gonna get electrocuted.
my ears hurt.
Gotta say, that was unexpected.
Both of these have been so unexpected.
Yeah, both of
I really thought it was Mega Man Legends.
Yeah.
Let me set this up here.
I slipped up. I said I brought.
I really liked the
This one
reveal of the
was
text
really kinda
Dungeons
funny.
and Dragons. Like that was shocking.
You know, you said it wrong. You said it
got
didn't rhyme.
Are you not
You
entertained?
said it
It
rhymed.
rhymes.
I was
You're
just like,
just
oh, I'm gonna.
It kind of rhymes.
Oh, okay.
Dungeons and Dragons, Mega Man Legends. It kind of.
Okay.
Dungeons and Dragons.
You can kind of
Mega
rhyme.
Man Legends.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been doing this.
There's a
We
rhyme.
also didn't bring up the
Yeah,
TV
you're right,
show,
okay.
and
So
I
like the
think
good
that
stuff.
is
I'll have this
Yeah,
saved,
so could
ready
I
to go.
literally
Really
bring
quick.
That was definitely the first time I
and
heard
then
it.
let's,
Yes, but show
plug
me
in
Lord of the
the
Rings influence on Super
What?
Metroid.
What? There's no fucking rules.
This is yellow.
No one knows. We need a yellow card. We need a yellow card.
No
one knows.
I do agree with Brad on that. There are no rules.
Man, if there's ever a time for the internet to go out,
I do agree.
Disaster!
I second.
Those new child rules, they actually encourage you to use profanity now.
Oh my God.
We should be using.
Brad,
So we
Brad,
okay.
Damiani, do you see what's on the screen right now?
Do you?
Yes.
I do too.
Oh, Ian, so this is intentional.
Oh, so
What? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
but Ian,
Alright.
before you're ready to begin, I need to switch over to
This
some
is what
X
it's
Play.
like.
So let me have mouse control. And you tell me when you want me to switch.
All right,
And then
go
I'll.
for it.
Everyone-
Who's on time? You
Go
got
ahead,
it.
because you're
I can
in
time
control
it.
now,
Be
Ian.
for
I have a time. All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right, here I go. Here I go. Okay, shit.
This doesn't count yet.
I think this counts
No,
right
this
now.
doesn't
You already
count.
started the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Merriam-Webster, this counts. This counts.
Okay.
This is part of the presentation.
Shit.
What is happening?
Shit.
This is art.
Okay, Merriam-Webster defines metal as any, various opaque, fusible to ductile and typically lustrous substances that are good conductors. Oh, hang on. Shit.
Oh my god.
Shit. Of electrons and did I get it all? Oh, shit.
Is this part of the bit?
I think so.
Lost.
I wish this was alcohol.
Okay, and then Merriam-Webster defines
Oh my god.
shit. Gear. Oh shit. As what?
Oh no.
Movable
Fishing gear.
garments,
Paraphernalia.
goods, paraphernalia, rigging. Hang on, I need a new slide.
I
How do
like
you-
that absurd talk.
It's under the plus symbol.
What is that about?
How do you?
Just
Go to the plus in the top left, or do that.
What?
That plus symbol.
New.
Or you can just. No. Plus.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, shit. Okay. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines solid as. Okay, here's a better. Hang on. Oh shit. Hang on. Okay, defines solid as being without an internal. Sure. Okay. Merriam-Webster defines shit. Merriam-Webster defines three. Hang on. As number that's more than 2. Okay, hang on. I gotta check my notes. That's
a lot of numbers.
Hang on. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hang on. Okay. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Goat.
It's got the boss in it.
The goat.
Oh, wait.
Stop this.
Argument. Yeah, I was gonna say, be a little careful with that, because you might see other people's.
The goat right here, dude.
Oh,
This
okay.
is it. Just leave that up for 5 minutes. You win.
Okay. Well, here, I'll just link it in the presentation, so that
You
you
can
guys
copy
can.
image and paste.
You guys
it
can.
in.
Oh, you can.
Pretty
Okay.
sure that works.
There you go. Yeah.
Like copy image. Try
okay.
that.
Okay.
If it's a URL, it should technically work.
Okay.
Nice.
Sick.
This
Okay,
is
it's got
good.
the boss.
Exclamation point on it,
Oh, yeah.
because it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. And then it's got Oh, hang on. Caratans. Caratans are a lot of fun, and you get the stealth armor at the end if you do them all. No. All right, no help there. Hang on, I gotta check my notes. Oh.
You have to go to Japanese dictionary.
Oh yeah. Oh wait.
Oh no. That's our flowers.
It's got this part, which is really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the flowers part, and then hang on. What's the next part? Oh yeah. It's got. Oh wait, hang on. This will work. You can non-lethal this fight, and it's super awesome. He falls asleep,
dude.
It's fucking dope.
Yes.
And
take that, Batman Arkham City.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
And then if you non-lethal the whole game, you get
Oh.
Dang it.
but Metal Gear Solid 3.
Hey, I'll tell you, that was fun.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I don't mind telling you.
That was fun.
That was the most unique presentation I've ever seen.
I'm sure chat loved it. All right, I'll start the timer when someone asks me something. Cool.
Why Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater instead of, or why instead of other Metal Gear games?
It's my favorite.
What makes it the greatest of the Metal Gears?
I think on the whole, I mean, 1's already in there, so you know, we checked that box, you know, and then for me, 3, it just is the right combination of phenomenal gameplay. The period is really cool, and the story I think holds together pretty well, and like has a really good emotional payoff, and it has a lot of the Kojima like eccentricity without like feeling the need to go as over the top as 2 did. You know, it felt like a return a little bit to roots, and that isn't to say that it's not, you know, bizarre and cool and weird, but like 2 really went out there, you know, and I love 2 as well, but I don't know, 3 just, I don't know, it feels like special. in that way too, where it's just holds together so well. No element really stands out as being too, I don't know, that I can remember anyway.
Just the forest setting, like you're thinking about how many games that have tried a forest setting that have come out since then, and this is through no fault of Kojima, through no fault of the development of that game. Just that game's on the PlayStation 2 is what it's designed for. Do you ever go back and play it and be like, yeah, it kind of feels like a hallway. It kind of feels a little limiting compared to other games, maybe like open world stuff or just other just for like a visual sense. Do you think that part holds up?
My personal preference is that I like how kind of it is more directed, and it spreads out sometimes, and you feel like you have more of a little playground to get through. I'm thinking of the area where there's that kind of bombed out building and like Revolver Ocelot shows up. I like that area because you can come at it from several different ways. Where you fight the end is super wide open. You can do all kinds of stuff, like epic sniper battle, like one of my favorite sniper battles ever in games or movies. And so I think that the little segmented areas also serve the gameplay because there's that little bit of relief when you make it through a zone without getting spotted. And like when you get that little cutscene and he runs out, it's like a little dopamine hit because you're just like, I made it. Okay, I didn't mess up that area. I got through it. Plus, like it just feels so cool. Like best like crawling through grass maybe ever. Like in this game is just like. Oh, it just feels so good. And the introduction of the different camos and the different sort of areas, I thought was really cool. I liked it. Plus, if you do all the frogs, you get the stealth camo, which is like the greatest end game bonus ever.
Sorry.
Same time, I'll just answer both.
Do you feel like in a weird way that maybe that they kind of went back to Snake as a crutch rather than making Big Boss a like clearly different character, and it's almost just like here's Solid Snake again, but we're gonna write some weird explanation for why he's now in the past.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but it makes sense in the story, kind of right. Like if they're clones of him, it's fun to play as him to see like, oh, he's Big Boss, he's the guy that this all came from. Plus,
but Liquid Snake is not that much like Solid Snake.
Right. Well, that's because of all the like weird like. Ben can explain it.
I'm holding back, Ben.
He wants to.
I do want to.
Solid Snake also.
To me, it feels cool because it's in the past and you've heard about this guy. And I was never sure. Like as a kid, I was like, oh, I thought he was a bad guy. Like what's going on, And so I actually thought it was really cool to play as him. Plus, yeah, I mean, it felt good to play as like Snake again, like a snake. Plus, he eats snakes. Snake Eater. That song is fucking dope. I forgot to mention the greatest video game song of all time. Snake Eater.
You mentioned the camo.
Yeah.
And something about the camo that kind of makes it frustrating to engage with is that you do have to go into the menu to change it, rather than being able to just quickly change on the fly. Do you think that is a hindrance to the game?
I think it's kind of a product of the time. Like it didn't bother me at the time. So I think, and the thing that I like about seeing it in the menu is it does show you those percentages, right? So you can kind of like strategize a little more, or do you see it in game 2? I can't remember, but yeah, I don't know. It didn't really bother me at the time. 15 seconds left if anyone else wants to get one in there.
So do you think it's a joke that the bad guy has a boyfriend?
No.
Okay.
I don't even remember that. Which guy?
Metal guy. It was electricity guy.
Oh, Volgan?
Yeah.
He's gay?
Yeah, dude.
Sick.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
all
it.
sorts of stuff in this Hall of Greats.
There it is.
Woof. Okay.
Did it.
Oh, I do it. Yeah.
Bizarre presentation.
You're doing something right if Huber's like, wait, does it start?
Yeah.
Huber!
2 minutes in.
I like standing. It's just how I like to do it. I'm gonna stand right here.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Why can't he stand
Dominic
right
said I
there?
can.
You gotta stay behind the chair so you
Right here?
on camera. Yeah.
Cool. Can I grab this? Can I take this?
No, it'll be super loud.
What if like down here?
It'll be crazy loud.
This is incredible.
Just feels right. I feel more comfortable.
Is chat complete?
Chat, is this okay?
We don't know if they're.
Is this all right?
You're seeing it now?
This just makes me comfortable. Is that a problem?
Nope.
This is not even. It's not theatrics.
I think it is a problem. If
It's just comfort.
Yeah, I'm like shaking.
I'm shaking
during
right
Hall of Greats
now.
always.
I'm nervous. That's all I want.
It's a dope presentation, bro.
No,
Don't put it to your mouth.
I'm leaving it down here.
This thing, it'll be so loud if you move.
I'm leaving it right down here. Waist high. Waist high walls.
It's literally the same height as if it was on the thing.
But you see the live scene right now,
Got it.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, I can switch over.
Blood, can you
All
make
right.
that thing go?
Oh, sure.
I dedicate this.
Wait, are you starting?
Yeah, I'm starting. I
I'm
dedicate.
just telling you to wait.
Okay. I didn't know.
All right, Huber.
I dedicate this Hall of Greats presentation to Martin Scorsese.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
No.
So,
You're moving it closer.
video games are awesome. They're empowering. And Spider-Man on PlayStation 4 is the ultimate. Is one of the ultimate video games, one of the ultimate superhero games of all time on so many levels. First up, I want to talk about the zipping around. I want to talk about movement in this game and the idea of being someone else in a video game, why we play video games, to explore, to do all sorts of different things, to be other people. And in this game, you can be Spider-Man and just zip around New York City in one of the most zen-like, meditative, traversal mechanics in all of video games. Simply moving around in this game is some of the best feelings I've ever had when playing a video game. I honestly believe that. I honestly mean that. Movement, mobility. That also factors into the combat, which I love in this game. And I'm big on difficulty, but I'm also big on options, giving players a ton of different ways to play and tune their experience. So like, you can play this game on easy, sure, or you can crank it up to hard, and the combat encounters are brutally intense. Every single combat encounter, you know, he's Spider-Man, he's not Superman, so he's gonna feel those bullets, he's gonna feel the hits when like 15 enemies storm into a room. And I love the stealth as well, talking about traversal, stealthing in different environments, using all of Spider-Man's gadgets, hacking, spider bots. There's so many ways you can approach different situations, and every single time, the most important thing is it's fun. It's such a generic word, and in 2019, you know, we have so many good words to describe things. We've exhausted our ways to describe video games. We've literally said everything there is to say about them, but Spider-Man at the end of the day is fun. So much fun. Fun. 10 out of 10, fun. Also, when it's not fun, it's heavy and emotional and relevant as hell. This is a Spider-Man story about a man that is dying, that is trying to make something good and loses sight of that and becomes evil and becomes selfish. On the flip side, the foil of Peter Parker and Spider-Man doing the ultimate selfless act at the very end of the game in one of the most gut-wrenching, gut-punch story moments ever in a comic book, video or movie or anything. So that part is specifically for Scorsese. Because if he played the end of this game and he didn't shed a tear, I don't know what to tell the man. That is it. That's all I got to say about Spider-Man. That's it. Nothing more. Fun.
130 left. Nothing else?
I love it.
All right.
Huber, I love that video. That was a good video.
Thanks, Jones.
Review copy provided by PlayStation.
Review copy provided by PlayStation.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I played it so much.
Yeah.
My eyes like went red.
Yeah.
Platinumed the game, had a great time.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought could have been better were the boss fights. You talked about the mechanics of fights and the options that you had.
Yes.
And while I generally agree with that, the boss fights to me didn't really feel like they were an extension of the systems that you were being taught in the fights. They were just sort of like, hey, do like it's a puzzle. Do the thing that we need you to do, and then when you did it, you won. And so I don't feel like they were like those nice, fun, climactic tests of skill.
Absolutely, Ben, I 100% agree. If you were to compare this game to the Batman Arkham series, which is its main competition in the genre, Arkham blows it out of the water with boss fights. I will say, though, that the basic combat encounters versus the enemies in this game, for me, constantly were exciting. They constantly ramped up, and that's something I really appreciated, is the progression. Because by the end of this game, and especially the DLCs, you're taking on 20, 30 enemies at a time, people shooting rockets in the distance. So I appreciated how that changed, but the boss fights were inconsistent. Shout out to the Taskmaster fight, though. I like that.
I really like you fight 2 bosses at once at one point. I really like that.
Yeah,
it's a very
Rhino
airborne fight. I really dug that fight. Hero, what do you have to say to like? This is a really good game, but it is built on years and years and years of several people attempting this. You know, so like it wasn't like Insomniac kind of dreamt up this whole new way. You know, to do. There were a lot of things that they did, I think, better than most people have done. But you know, when I think about a lot of these other games, I think about something like Metal Gear Solid 3 that is so unique and built upon its own work and its own achievements, rather than taking things that so many other people have done. Probably like 20 to 30 games, aside from all of his other appearances in other games as well.
I respect innovation, but I appreciate refinement far more. I acknowledge all of the things that came before. I acknowledge that this game has experience points. You level up in this video game.
You could see in the video.
Yeah, you level up and you get experience points. But like, I'm not crediting Dungeons and Dragons for anything to do with this Spider-Man game. This is a refined, it's just kind of the way I see it. I don't know. I'm all about refinement.
What about the electricity guy? I appreciate that they were doing like what they were doing. You know, But I feel like it was a little underwhelming. Like his little arc was a little underwhelming for me. Do you agree?
Electro?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Electro's not like the...
No. Negativity guy. The negative energy.
Sorry.
Negatives.
Negativity guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't remember his name.
Yeah,
Negativity guy.
The Mr. Negative stuff.
Mr. Negative. I was close.
I like that it took the focus off what would later become the final climax of the game, which is just perfect for me. I love the whole last.
But it's like game. I would have appreciated it if his story was also more resonant instead of just being this sacrificial lamb to the greater storyline. You know.
Definitely. But I like what they did with him and Miles because there's some connection there, which I thought was good. And you get to play as Miles, other stealth parts, play as Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what about the stealth parts?
Those are not the best parts.
I really like the stealth parts because I appreciate being able to zip up to the rafters. And similar to Batman, it really made me feel like I felt like Spider-Man, stalking my people, zipping them up to the rafters, hanging them out there, and then just...
No, I was talking about the parts where he plays like Mary Jane and Miles.
Yeah.
I liked the puzzle stuff. Those basically were puzzle sections to me, and they broke up the flow of being Spider-Man in this open world. So I did appreciate those parts.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. 50 seconds left.
What do you think about the car chases, where it's essentially like the same exact Simon Says
those were bad
QuickTime thing over and over again, without really a lot of variation in animation at all?
Bloodworth, you got me.
Simon Says though?
A bit too many of those. Like when you go back at the end of the game, my one argument, I guess, is you don't have to do them all, sure, but I don't like using that argument. Because at the end of the day, when you're clearing the entire map and you're going around doing like 7 of those in a row, sure, there are more elegant ways to do that. But I feel like the rewards are usually worth it, just getting all the suits. Leveling up your suits.
Do you think Stanley is a joke in this game?
Oh, God. Out of time.
Take that, Dungeon.
Thank you, Dorian. Thank you.
Watch your ears, chat. Watch your ears here.
I like you.
Yeah, good job, Hubert.
I like standing. Thank you.
Watch your ears, chat.
I really like standing. I just feel comfortable.
Whatever makes you up.
Okay. Put the you face up on the bottom.
On the bottom.
Got it. Next up is
Bradley Ellis. Bradley Ellis. All right, Dominic, cue me up, buddy.
Is
we
the
have 4
camera
games so far?
Does the camera need to be adjusted?
Oh yeah, do we need to adjust the camera?
What are you stressing out? You got it done.
It
Actually,
just seems like we've had
presentation
500
to,
games. Seems like been here for a long time.
Halfway there, Jonesy.
Ooh.
We're halfway there.
I thought you were doing it.
I was like, why?
Yeah.
Oh.
You should have done that part first.
Do you know "It's My Life" is a sequel to that song?
You know Bon Jovi sucks?
Wait, hold on,
Whoa.
Jones. Wait, are you serious?
It's a canonical sequel?
He mentions Tommy and Gina, who
Wait a
never
minute.
back down. Tommy and Gina are the 2 characters from Live on a Prayer.
That's huge.
This is
one of my
That
favorite.
is huge.
I think one of my favorite easy moments ever just went underappreciated. Hold on. Ian said Bon Jovi sucks, and Bloodworth just went, oh. It was the best. It was the best reaction ever. It was just a noise. So oh.
What, do you love Bon Jovi?
I like Bon Jovi.
I love
I mean, I don't sit around and listen to Bon Jovi records on repeat.
I do.
But
Dead or alive. What Bon Jovi what movie is he in, dude? He's
Young
in
Guns,
something.
baby.
Young Guns?
He's on Boston Public for a while.
Young Guns, that's it.
He was on
Heat.
Boston Public?
He's in Heat.
He wrote the song for Young Guns. I don't know if he's in Young
My-
Guns too. He wrote
no.
the...
he plays a cactus.
I was scanning the movie in my brain.
You're
man.
just scrolling the whole thing.
I actually have a reason. I have a good reason that I don't like Bon Jovi because one of my first jobs I worked at a financial firm, and the rich crazy people who owned it, we cut videos for them. They claimed to be friends personally with Bon Jovi and that we were allowed to use all his music in our videos.
Oh, no.
And we were all like, I'm pretty sure that's not true, but we just did it because they were our bosses and told us so. And then one day they were just like, we can't do that anymore. Yeah. But I just got so sick of hearing Bon Jovi all the time.
Right.
So you all have control of the presentation with your mouse. Do you see it right here?
Yeah.
But before you do anything, I know you have a music request. I have it ready to go. So I need to hit play on that.
I will give you the signal.
So once, let me, just stop moving the mouse at that point. I'll hit play and then you'll have control back.
Control back?
But we're all good.
TGA nominee? Did you bring control?
No.
I'm like,
Chad,
new games don't get it.
we're ready to go on your
Yeah,
Chad
new
sees
games
everything
don't
and we're good.
I'll start whenever you
Okay.
start, Ben.
All right, go ahead.
Okay.
It's been 11 Hall of Greats. We brought a lot of games. Today, I have been waiting to bring this game for a long time. This is a game that has had a profound impact upon my life. I don't like to say I have a favorite video game, but I would say this is one of my favorite video games of all time. That game is Final Fantasy VII. It's time, baby. Dominic, hit the music, baby. Hit it up. Hit it up. What?
What?
Don't
Oh.
Now you go.
Okay.
Okay, now we get down behind the seconds.
Yeah, now we get 10 extra seconds for it.
Talk about the impact of this game, baby. Final Fantasy had been in Japan for a long time. There have been 6 entries. We only got 3. Final Fantasy VII came over, didn't care about the other numbers. 1, 2, 3, 7. Boom. In the West, brought JRPGs to the West. You cannot deny the impact this game has had. Love it or hate it, Final Fantasy VII has a profound impact on video games, especially JRPGs in the West. So beloved, characters have appeared in several other fighting games like Smash Brothers, Final Fantasy Tactics, Ether games, whatever, I don't know how it's called, how to pronounce it, spin-off games. We got a movie, dude, George's Cerberus, we got an anime. People just cannot get enough of this bloody game. Story and characters, man. One of the most endearing casts, a fantastic villain that's unforgettable. It tells a deep and complex story about hope, sorrow, doing what's right. This power plant company, Shinra, taking life from the planet. You gotta step in there. Cloud has to put aside his differences to save this world. Cloud's story arc is super unique of misleading the player, giving the player false information throughout the game, then us discovering Cloud's past along with him is super awesome. Air's death, one of the most iconic moments in gaming, period. You hear that materia drop, tears are building up. I don't care who you are. All the characters get a nice little time to shine. Backstories of the character are awesome, like Barrett's past with dying, Vincent with Lucrezia, Red 13 discovering the past of his dad wasn't a coward, didn't abandon Cosmo Canyon. Red 13 cries there, man. I cried there. All that good stuff. Everyone gets time to shine. Even Cat Sheep, how you gonna pronounce it? Kyle gets a little time to shine with that black materia. I know you don't like him. He gets to make a sacrifice that helps the crew out. Materia, man. One of the most in-depth combat systems in a JRPG, I would say. So flexible, allows you to make any character pretty much whatever you want. You could build crazy combinations that like essentially break the game if you put the time in, but you don't need to do this to beat the game. It's just there if you want to go the extra mile. Encourages tons of experimentation. For example, one time I did counterattack with 8 Omni Slashes. You can break this game if you put the time in. Soundtrack, dude. One of Nobuo Uematsu's finest pieces of work. That's right. Look at that man. You cannot deny that man.
I can't.
Aerith's theme, one of the most iconic tracks. One Winged Angels could be literally one of, if not Final Fantasy's most famous tracks, probably behind its main theme. I was gonna put One Winged Angel in this presentation, but it'd been way too intense for this. Every song perfectly complements the tone throughout the story. This game goes from your ruined cities to your open fields. Every song, piece resistance with it. Side activities, chocobo breeding, super fun. Love doing that. You got your ruby and emerald weapons that you can take on if you want a little extra challenge at the end of the game. Yuffie and Vincent, everyone loves these people. They're optional. You don't gotta do it. They're there. No, you don't. No, you don't. Oh, okay. I was like, okay. Got you. Awesome side quests to get like their weapons, their limit breaks. And dude, baby, the greatest side activity of all, man. Gold Saucer! Jones, it's an amusement park, dude. It's your dream. And there's so much good stuff to do in here, dude. Awesome arcade games. Snowboarding, sick. Submarine, sick. Kyle, you know it's sick. You got the roller coaster, sick. Chocobo racing, awesome, sick. And the chocobo breeding to get the Knights of the Round is like one of the coolest quest rewards of all time. Final Fantasy VII has had a quote, like, you cannot deny this game. Look what this game has done. Michael Huber is not even a huge Final Fantasy VII, but he knows the impact of this video game.
That's for you, Brad.
And seeing this game, look at all this freaking out. You know why this happens? This wasn't just us. This happened all around the world because this game is so beloved by so many people. Final Fantasy VII to me is one of the greats and one of the greatest video games of all time. I know, I was like, then I was like, oh, he's right though. That's it? That's it for me.
Good job, Brad.
That was it. You can't get caught on the stairs, kind of.
Can't get caught on the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't get grabbed on the stairs.
You can't get grabbed
on the stairs.
You can't play through without Vincent.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Dragon does.
I'm not even going to raise a concern, Brad. I just kind of want you to address something because
Sure.
I brought 6 and 6. You know, I really wanted 6 to be in Hall Grades, and there's just this fascinating dichotomy to me between A Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time, between Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy VII.
Mm-hmm.
You have the culmination of the work of building up to 6, of building up to Link to the Past, and then you have Ocarina of Time and 7, where there's just a lot of new things. And I think for me, if I was gonna try to give this game, a shot, I've seen it, but I've never actually played it through all the way. Would be just the backgrounds and the character models, just compared to a lot of stuff we play today. Even accepting the fact that it is an old game and appreciating it as such. Do you think it still holds up? Just
I think visually, like, I like the character models. I understand a lot of people don't actually like them. That's fine. I think the game has enough strengths, though. Like, the backgrounds are super strong, I'd say, like that. They do look better in, like, the higher def version, so if that's a problem for you. But I think there's enough there on the game to carry it past the character models. Sure. Like the combat, the story, there's enough there to keep you going.
During your presentation,
yes,
you mentioned Dirge of Cerberus.
Yes.
Why?
My whole point was to explain how beloved this game is, that people just kept wanting more from it. Not necessarily speaking to the quality of Dirge of Cerberus, but I'm just saying. That's how big of a game this was.
What's the anime? I want to watch it.
Before Crisis. So it has to deal with Zack and Cloud and like Shinra coming after them.
How many episodes?
It's one.
Oh,
it's one thing.
Okay.
Chris Corbo.
Is it a movie? How long is it?
It's like 30 minutes, I think.
Oh, wow.
It's an OVA, I believe.
Shouldn't count.
What do you mean?
As what? Shouldn't be part of the presentation. It's too short.
What? What? Okay.
You know what's not too short though, Brad? Some of those attack animations. The summons, and then particularly Sephiroth, like, destroy the whole soul system.
Supernova? Bloodworth.
Supernova.
Here we go. Because that is the final encounter in the whole game. This is Sephiroth flexing his power on you. Bloodworth, when you saw that when you were playing the game, you never saw anything like that in your freaking life. Never. And there's nothing like that.
Then I saw it again.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. It's just like, okay, I went into an RPG, or I'm in here's another encounter. I've seen this attack animation 100 times. I've seen this summon 1,000 times. It's just the same thing, except this is something at the end of the game.
How'd they make those CGs look so good?
They spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
This was one of the most expensive games. I think it was the most expensive game at the time when it was made. Yeah.
A huge margin.
Brad, is this game about to be supplanted?
By the remake?
Yes.
No. They will be side by side.
Why?
One will not replace the other.
Why?
Because they'll be so different from each other. There will be enough to love about each version. It's like Resident Evil 2. They're both great in their own way.
Pandering.
We're also getting part 1. So we got a ways to go. Yeah. We'll talk when all of the parts are out.
Okay.
Yeah, will they release like a box set? That'll be crazy.
So wait, no, Ketchi sucks the whole game.
Actually, it's Rufus controlling Ketchi, yeah.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
Every RPG has a very minor character, I would say, that doesn't get as much spotlight. Ketchi is that character in this game, but he does something that actually helps the party out by sacrificing himself. Taking that black materia in that temple, dude. He does a valiant effort. He does something.
But then he's okay.
Well, because it's not actually him. It's Rufus controlling him.
Yeah.
But Ketchi kind of is like a sentient being also of him controlling him. It gets crazy, yeah. Yeah. He has like powers to give it life.
Whoa.
He's like a stuffed animal.
Do we have time?
We have a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got a minute.
All right, so
hop in.
Brad, with
Yes.
the story of Final Fantasy VII is dense just on its own, taking no other thing into account. But as Final Fantasy VII expanded, it got more and more dense. Do you think that increased density helped or hurt the game?
Are you talking about like the spin-off stuff?
Yeah, like there. I think sometimes sometimes Final Fantasy VII now feels so extended. Like, do you think that speaks to a weakness in Final Fantasy VII's original story that they had?
I think Final Fantasy VII gave you a good enough story, but it left room for things to speculate on your own. It let you fill in the gaps, like with Cloud and Zack, a lot of stuff's going on there, but some games have filled in those gaps, particularly Crisis Core. So the game does not give you answers for everything. It leaves stuff open for interpretation.
Dang. 10 secs left.
Why is the motorcycle so cool?
I don't know, man. It just is.
It is really cool.
Akira,
yeah. We should bring Akira to Hall Grades.
Time.
It's technically Reeves.
Reeves?
Yeah,
what did I
controlling.
say? Did I
Rufus
say Rufus?
is the red-haired guy,
Did I say
right?
Rufus?
You did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rufus controlling.
It's Reeves. Yeah,
What about
sorry.
Mojo?
Has no impact on the debate.
Time's
No.
up.
Yeah.
Time's up.
Rufus is a Turk.
Love that guy, dude.
Yeah.
He's a Turk.
Mojo.
Oh yeah, he's a Turk. Sorry, everybody.
Anime villain?
Oh,
Bloodworth.
boy.
Bloodworth.
Uh-oh. Bloodworth.
Well,
Good job, Brad.
Thank you.
Good job, Brad.
Thanks.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Because you made me doubt myself, and I was like, wait, no.
It was moral support.
Yeah, you can let me know when you've got the timer.
I'm ready when you are, baby.
Just gotta wing this, so.
Okay.
Good luck, Blood.
Break a leg, Blood. Crash and burn,
Yeah, so this time around, I'm bringing a game that I would say is really nothing like pretty much anything before or after it, other than its own sequels and prequels, and that game is Animal Crossing.
Oh.
And this is a game, there's a lot of different things going on in Animal Crossing, and I'm talking about the GameCube version, for anyone that wants to be clear. Because I haven't played the N64. And I'm not talking about the sequels. I think that they are separate enough games. But anyways, but this is a game that's really like, there's a lot of simulation games. There's a lot of games where you like live a life somewhere, like Harvest Moon and all of that. But Animal Crossing is very much this strange thing about where like the primary focus is to talk to people. And so you move into this town, and this town is very much your town. There's a random assortment of towns that you could possibly get, and then you have to like learn how the town is, and then the houses of the people that live there, the animals that live there, those are randomized too, and so you could get this whole different group of animals. But you learn to talk to people on a regular basis, and they give you things to kind of reward you for that. But then as time goes on, there's all of these different ways to interact. Like you can type out a whole letter to somebody, and then months later they'll show that letter back to you. It's like, hey, this letter meant a lot to me, and all you might have written was like, hey, do you remember Cheeseburger Cat? And so and additionally to that, like you can design fashion, and then you see it becomes a trend, and like animals across your town and start to pick up on it. You can teach somebody to say corn nugget, and then like everybody starts saying corn nugget for no good reason. But what's really like, even on top of all that stuff, what's amazing to me is how social this game was designed in an era before online play was the norm. And so you could take your memory card to your friend's house, and then all of a sudden you guys could visit each other's towns, and all of that interaction starts to bleed over. So now my friend has got people saying corn nugget to him. Now I'm seeing t-shirts he's made which has got naked boobs on it. Great. And it's like
Save it for the questions.
You've got all the stuff, that interaction. You can create your song, and some of you have apples, and some of you have oranges, and some of you have like lemons, and you have all these things going on, and it all kind of works and goes back and forth, and it does this smoothly. And then on top of that, you've got all of this kind of like stuff based on the clock, so that every day there's new things happening, the seasons happen, there's special events, there's all of these different incentives to go on. For like it's one of the earliest times when there was like classic games included. You could find a dozen NES games, and that was part of the things. Like, okay, how do I get Wario's Woods? I don't know how to get Wario's Woods. Who's got it? It's super crazy rare. And another connection thing, which is you could use the Game Boy Advance, and you could go to this island, and so you could kind of like take the island with you and do some things there, get some rewards, and then you come back and you take a boat back to your house. And so there's all these fun little interactions. And the GameCube game also had like this kind of thing that was never repeated, where other people in your family, in your home, like could have houses in that same town. And so you end up having these interactions based on what they did. And so it all becomes very dynamic, and you end up can play the game for years, or you can come back later and somebody's like, hey, I haven't seen you for 36 months, and your whole town is full of roaches and weeds and stuff, and because it just creates this crazy illusion of being a living place. Those villagers move in and out. That friend you might have had, like someone will say, hey, I'm moving to their town, and he's like, oh, I don't want you to leave. And maybe you can convince them to stay, maybe not. But it really, like, especially for the era that it was made, it really created a sense that you were interacting with a living ecosystem.
20 seconds left. You done?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What? Naked boobs? What?
Yeah. Are we sure the boobs were naked?
Were they naked?
They
Your
were.
friend was a perv? I didn't know you could do that. I gotta get me a GameCube.
Pixel art, baby.
Yeah, he created a way to basically make like photographic.
He created it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he created a system to where like he map it out to like black and white photos essentially to put in the game.
And so then you couldn't stop the people in your town from wearing that shirt?
I think you could. I think like at some point, like you could like if it showed up somewhere, you could get rid of it.
But you didn't want to. You let him wear the shirt.
Did you try to eliminate the naked boobs shirt, Daniel Bloodworth? Simple question.
Okay, I'll be honest. I'm using this as an example. I don't remember if I actually got the naked boobs to show up in my town.
So you were trying.
I just remembered.
You were trying though.
No, I just remembered that like that was a thing that he had in his town. So, you just like walk up to the front of the town and like there's a
And we're talking
picture
about
of naked boobs.
the GameCube version?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Bloodworth.
Yep.
But he had photos of himself and
Making sure.
All this talk
Was
about
he
boobs.
naked?
So we're talking about the GameCube.
Trying to bring it back here.
He's like goes on eBay.
GameCube's a fortune.
Did you play Animal Crossing for GameCube all year?
We played it multiple years before we ended up putting it down.
Who's we?
Wow.
Me and my now wife.
Whoa! Did she see the naked boobs?
I don't remember.
Okay. Answer the question.
Simple question, Bloodworth.
Was that a strain at any point? Did you do that legitimately because you were having fun in the game, or did you do it because you were just like, I feel like I have to do this? Because I've never made it all that way. I usually get, I think, like 8 months is my longest, and then I just move on to other things. Like,
I think there were just certain things that were kind of routines. There's stuff like. I think one of the bigger things for me was just like the collections, the seasonal fish and bugs, and trying to catch things on like, it's only available like this week, and it's like, again, it's like sort of like what we see in like a Fortnite or live service game now, but all just based on a clock,
You hear that? Blood. So Animal Crossing, fantastic. The problem that I can run into with Animal Crossing is sometimes just managing stuff feels like it's a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. Such as like your tools taking up inventory spots or not having that many inventory spots, and so you get into this like kind of rhythm where you're out collecting stuff, and it's like before you can even really get going, your inventory's full, and so there's just kind of this like hassle to managing stuff sometimes. Was that a problem for you?
It's definitely something that is sort of an issue, and like especially as but it kind of depends on your play style. Like if you're like really into collecting and doing those kinds of things, or if you're really into, you want to go out and like plant a whole bunch of trees, but you only have space for so many trees at a time, or you can only buy so many trees. It definitely, it's definitely one of those things. But I think it also at times feeds into this kind of core value of Animal Crossing in that it doesn't want you to play it all day long for a weekend and then be done with it. It wants you to do a little bit at a time. It wants you to play it for an hour or two a day. You're done with it, come back to it a day or two later, play it an hour or two more. And so a lot of that kind of management stuff becomes more of an issue if you're getting more and more obsessed with it, I guess.
My only criticism, Bloodworth, is I can imagine this specific Animal Crossing feeling irrelevant or obsolete, because when a new one comes out, it's like just better stuff, better systems.
Sure.
Do you think that is a problem with entering this Animal Crossing into the Hall of Greats? Its potential irrelevance.
I think it's one of those questions of legacy, and like I think it's in that nice like Venn diagram of like, okay, it wasn't the first, but it took the initial ideas and then expanded them to such a great degree that now like everything that you see is just kind of a tweaking and improvement on what was already there. And so like I think you can still go back in, and aside from some things like not having a stylus to type, or some of these like UI things with the tools, those have been improved. You don't need to actually physically take a memory card to somebody's town to visit it. That's been improved. But like all of like the real base of like what makes this game so great is essentially the same.
Nice.
Go ahead and reveal who's next.
Scoot your chair up a little. There you go.
We've
We only
got
have Don left, right? And
Don.
Ben.
Don and Ben, so
Don
Ben's
and Ben.
left.
Down.
Don, why don't you get up here, dude?
Get up on that couch.
I need to get a drink after all that.
Hey, is that Jurassic Park expansion out?
You heard about that, right?
I mean, they've had several.
No, they're doing Return to Jurassic Park and Jurassic World
Don't
Evolution.
even see it.
Don, we gotta do it.
Don, we failed you by just
gotta
telling
do
you
it,
about
Don.
it right now.
Should I be thinking about expansions for Spider-Man?
Absolutely, it's part of the package.
Points
game.
against.
No. What is that? What
Points
is that?
against.
What?
Look at Jonesy right here. What are you up to over there?
This is technical. I didn't ask a preference thing. It was literally
Because I mentioned the expansion in my presentation as well.
Okay.
It's
All right,
one.
good. I'll be
complete
honest,
thing.
it's gonna hurt my scoring then
Points
too.
against. Points against.
Yeah. That DLC is of lower quality for sure.
I think it did exactly what I wanted it to do after I finished the game, and that is ramp up combat to the extreme.
And drone challenges.
Extreme.
And be like, what the hell are the controls again?
I've been gone.
I've been gone for a month and a half.
We're still waiting on Ben.
Yeah.
Do we need the TV? The TV turned off again.
You can turn it on.
Oh, you're doing the video.
You're hooked
right?
up.
Maybe turn it up a little bit.
Oh, the volume will
Ooh,
come from
crank it
here.
up.
I can adjust
Oh
it.
my.
THX.
God, those logos. Those logos every time get me so hot and bothered, man.
It's a good mix of logos. Damiani, can you cut back?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Show us those logs. Yeah,
I still think Kyle's way out of line, but that DD logo just looks so good.
Yeah, it
I
does, right?
support you,
Full
Kyle.
on dragon
Unless
head.
this is somehow an
Oh, I
elaborate
want that
troll against
tattoo.
the game, I support you.
Looks so good.
Was Smog invented before Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
Smaug? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's pronounced smooge.
Think Tolkien.
Smuggo.
Smog. Smog.
Pronounced Benedict Cumberbatch.
Well, I've prepared a rather traditional presentation this evening. As we know, when I attempt live presentations, I often cannot stay within the 5-minute time constraint, which in the past I feel is a detriment to my nominations, one of the main reasons they probably haven't gotten in. So, anyway, tonight I've prepared a presentation that falls within the 5 minutes. However, it should be noted
I've already
that there
started
were-
the timer, by the way.
What?
Yeah, clock's already
When you start talking, that's when the timer starts!
That's not fair. All right. Well,
That's how this works!
Play the video. Play the video. Play the video.
Tonight is for a game based on two legends in sci-fi entertainment. My nomination deserves to be in the Hall of Greats because it stands the test of time, not only as one of the definitive beat-em-ups in human history, but also the greatest story adaptation to its film counterparts. My nomination is Capcom's Alien vs. Predator arcade game. It is unanimously agreed upon between people who experience playing AVP in arcades that it is a great game, likely one of the best arcade games ever created, regardless of genre. As a young kid spending time in the arcades, I clearly remember that I loved AVP. I could remember it as a spectacular beat-em-up with blockbuster special effects. I could remember the feeling of being desperately overrun by xenomorphs as I frantically blasted my way through a sci-fi fantasy earthscape. I could remember roasting enemies with the flamethrower, identical to the weapon I had seen in the frightening and exhilarating Aliens movie. Also from that movie was the hulking armored personnel carrier, which I had remembered riding atop as it crashed through a barrage of screeching and slashing aliens. I remembered the game being fun and really, really good. What I couldn't remember was how exactly its story unfolded, or how it ended, or if the beat-em-up action was fair, or a quarter-chomping grindstone. It wasn't until I had the recent opportunity to play through it again several times that I'm now able to confirm that the game is in fact truly great.
Select your play.
You play as one of 4 characters, 2 enhanced humans, one of which is based on Schwarzenegger's character in Predator, and 2 predators. Each character has unique melee and range attacks, as well as throws, combos, and special attacks. There is a large variety of weapons you can acquire and use temporarily, including several guns and explosives seen in the Alien and Predator movies. 3 of the 4 characters also have personal weapons, which can be lost by taking certain damage during battle, but also recovered and used by other player characters. The alien enemies are plentiful, and their likeness is pulled directly from the films, along with several original creations which appear here for the first time. The gameplay is smooth and rock solid, every hit feeling satisfying, and each wave of enemies inspiring the orchestration of a marvelous melody of mashing. The programming is masterful as the game never suffers unintentional slowdown, even when countless enemies and explosions fill the frame. All of the on-screen enemies you battle are part of the extraordinary plot that is unfolding around you. The story sets up a simple yet mysterious and exciting plot in which an American city is invaded by a xenomorph attack. In the ensuing chaos to contain the catastrophe, our 2 human protagonists are left for dead in a street fight with the aliens. A squad of predators show up and save them, forming an alliance of survival for reasons not immediately known. The first half of the story is the first 4 levels of the game, and they deliver many exciting, touchstone action moments which have the player savoring some of the familiar destruction presented in the Alien franchise to this point. The remaining 3 stages, which get lengthier as they go, present a fascinating narrative which takes the story in a dark and destructive direction through a couple massive plot twists and leading up to a series of action sequences, each more spectacular than the last. It climaxes in an epic conclusion which will leave you scratching your head as to why the filmmakers behind AVP could not have simply followed this brilliant blueprint, which could have set up the AVP film series to leave a lasting sci-fi legacy. Most interesting of all is that this game's story was in fact based on the script for an unrealized AVP movie which would have been released alongside the game in 1994. How different history would have been. Going to the arcade was often akin to visiting the cinema, getting lost in an exhilarating fantasy, then making your way home while chatting about all your favorite moments, then going again the next weekend and doing it all over. Alien vs. Predator is the best example of this. My fellow allies, let's honor this game tonight and bring it more of the attention it deserves by inducting it into the Hall of Greats.
Great video, Don.
Woo. Can I say one thing?
No.
Can I say one thing?
You can't say one thing. You really cannot.
You actually cannot. Yeah. You got extra time.
Yeah.
I just want to give you instructions for the Q&A section. Oh my gosh. That's all it is one line of
All right, I want to hear your instructions. I want to hear it.
There were sections of the script I had to cut, which you may be interested in hearing.
No, that's
You are allowed to ask me to elaborate.
That's a yellow card.
Okay,
that's a yellow card.
I was just making it clear.
Don, this is one of this is without a doubt one of the best and my favorite beat-em-ups of all time. But
yes,
until recently, it was nigh impossible to play unless you had if you got it illegally on emulation or played it on an arcade cabinet. Do you think its lack of availability hurts it from being entered into the Hall of Greats?
Yes, I do. I mean, that's the unfortunately that's its biggest weakness, is because it was confined to the arcades. It was never ported to a home console until very, very recently, and it's still very unobtainable for most people because it's sort of, you know, out of the realistic price range of what people are going to do. It's a shame because it's a master work, and it really would be great on any modern console. Even play, you know, it's nice to play with the joystick, but it'd be worth experiencing on any of the modern consoles. It's a shame.
What's it on now?
It's not available on anything. I mean, it's just only available on the arcade or the Capcom.
Did you get that thing?
Home arcade.
Oh,
which
is this how you
arrived
captured it?
just in time.
Wow.
Just in time.
Sick.
Just in time.
So sick.
We gotta bring it in.
Bring that in.
Yeah,
We gotta
please,
stream
full
that
playthrough,
thing.
That's great.
Do you think if we inducted it into the Hall of Greats, it may receive wider availability?
I think so. I think this would spearhead a campaign which would catch on like wildfire around the globe.
Don, are there
Perhaps even a reboot.
Are there special inputs? How do we do? Like, what are our moves in this?
Yeah, so you have melee and a range attack, and you have jump attack, you have grab and throw, then you have all sorts of combinations you can do, and it's like Street Fighter type maneuvers, you know, up, down, and like half circles and stuff like that, but you can link together a bunch of moves. And then, like I said, there's a ton of weapons, you know, there's like grenades and knives and all the guns from the movies, but also it's really neat how you can pick up, you know, the Predator drops his staff, most of the other characters can pick that up and then use it. So it's more of a, you know, it's not like an endless palette of moves, but it's more than your average beat 'em up. It's really more than most beat 'em ups I can think of. It's like as robust as most beat 'em ups get without starting to get, you know, heavy RPG elements into them, or not heavy, but like RPG elements, like more like Tower of Doom and the D&D Capcom video games.
How does the timeline on this work out? Because this feels like a more like present day scenario, but obviously like Alien has to happen in the future, or they don't know anything about it. How does this fit together?
Yeah, so in the timeline of the actual movies, I believe this takes place, it would be before the Alien movies, right? So this would be more, I believe, a sequel to the Predators.
Wayland Yutani merges, like, like 60 years or something before the first movie. So they're in this. They
Yeah.
merge at some point.
So this would be more of a direct sequel, I suppose, to the. In terms of the timeline of the movies, it would happen after Predator 2, but before obviously the Alien movies.
Don, you opened with the question of if it was a grindstone or not.
Oh yes.
And so I want to know, like, by the end of the game, are
I'm
you?
so glad you asked.
Oh,
that was one of the points. That was one of the points I had to cut out of my script. So I'm really glad you asked. So I can clarify. Okay, look. Extremely important to know is the respect the game gives the player. This is important for an arcade game. Gives the player by not falling into the common arcade beat 'em up habit of filling levels with thoughtless, repetitive waves of enemies, adding difficulty by trotting out boss rush quarter grabs. Okay, it doesn't have either of those things, and furthermore. It's important to note the entertainment value provided by the game's thoughtful difficulty curve. This is very unusual for this genre, okay? Most players are able to get through the first stage or two on a single credit, okay, quarter. The next few stages will require a couple dollars more and then a couple more dollars after that to complete the whole game, okay? Think about this, Kyle. This is why my childhood memories, Kyle, only went up halfway through the game. Usually I would only spend a couple dollars and move on to the next game, even though being able to play 1 or 2 complete levels for 25 cents, you know, if that's all you want to do, dip your toe in, is really worth it when most games you may only get, who knows, 30 seconds?
Question.
Wayland Yutani merges in 2099.
Question, Don. I'll tell you one thing that I don't remember a second of, and that's the music. How is it? Because to me, it's a very important factor of the genre.
The music is outstanding. Now, how do you pronounce his name? It's the same composer that did most of the Street Fighters, including Street Fighter V.
Nice.
He's done all Capcom stuff, basically. He's done almost most of the Street Fighters and Street Fighter Alphas, and he did, actually, I think he did Tower of Doom. So, veteran composer.
Nice.
You heard the music.
Nice job, Donnie.
Nice job.
Nice job, Donnie.
Thank you.
Nice job, Don.
Is it gonna be Ben?
It's Ben.
Look like it's bad.
It's Ben.
Hubert, can we swap? I'm gonna set up these.
Yes, sir.
Heroes over here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Got me here.
Yeah, so I have some bad news about the presentation.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I wrote a script and I made a PowerPoint that goes with the script. For whatever reason, the file that got sent over doesn't have like half the slides for some reason. So that sucks. I had it all planned out and timed and everything.
Do you think there's a ghost in this building?
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
We've seen some evidence of that.
There's some evidence.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use what I have because the part of my presentation that is most contingent on the PowerPoint is there. So
Nice.
we'll work with it.
You want me to set the timer to 2.5 minutes then? Or?
No. It's a
I'm
full
just
5
kidding.
minutes.
I'm just kidding.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Not unpack.
lots to unpack.
I look forward to it. Oh yeah, we have to set the TV up.
you can always prompt us to ask you questions about the stuff we missed.
No, it'll all be in there. The whole speech will be
No
there.
Prompto though.
Nothing like Prompto.
Yeah,
Hey, if I play Comrades with Ash, you in?
probably, dude.
Okay.
Dude, I have it too.
I feel a little bit of an itch.
I have it.
It's going down.
I'm in.
It's going down.
What are we talking about? I don't even know.
I'm making it happen.
Final Fantasy
Make it happen.
15
With
with
Ash.
Comrades.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you play through the whole game?
All right,
co-op
are
or
we?
something?
It's a whole separate MMO basically.
Okay, so it's good to go.
Wait.
I
Oh, is the TV on?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Do you see a mouse? Move a mouse around.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
I'm nervous.
I'll start when you do.
There is one game that when I think back on my time with it, it is so fundamentally good that it has ferociously stood the test of time in ways other games would die for. And that's because its core is so good. Of course, that game I'm talking about is Counter-Strike.
Oh! Yes, 1.6.
While there's a ton of strategy that goes into any given match, there's also a simplicity in Counter-Strike's design that works so well in its favor. It rests on key pillars that make it easy to identify as a great. I'm going to try to break down those pillars as best I can in the limited time. The first pillar, of course, is maps. That's not the correct font. Counter-Strike has many of the best maps I've played in a first-person shooter. Aztec, Dust, Italy, and Office are maps that are burned in my brain, and these are only a few examples. Yet there is one map in particular that I want to focus on that highlights so much of what makes CS good on its own, and that is Dust 2. Dust 2 is map perfection because its size and structure allow for constant excitement without being mindlessly frantic. Its pathways demand completely different playstyles where different weapons will shine depending on the situation. I'd like to draw your attention to position A on the map. The bottom A is where the terrorist team spawns, and to the right of the top A is where the counter-terrorist team spawn. These specific spawn points allow for immediate engagement between the two teams, and during a match, sniper battles sometimes kick up immediately with both teams trying to create an early advantage. So the beginning of a round can be intense and exciting, especially if you enjoy gripping sniper duels. But because the field of view is limited to a relatively narrow tunnel, the sniper fighting isn't so oppressive that it greatly hinders people who don't want to or don't have the skill to engage. I'd like now to have your eyes focus on position B. Between these points is a small tunnel, and the only way to get through on either side is a small crack in a large door. This creates an unbearably stressful dance between the two teams as both try to pop off shots through the tiny openings in the hope of catching someone. It's a similar sort of tension that is present in point A, but the proximity of the engagement makes it feel much different. Sometimes the pressure gets to people, causing teams to rush forward, creating a chaotic and quick close-range bloodbath in the tunnel. Compare that to the standoff at point C, where you have more of a mid-range battle as both teams try to push ahead. Whoever controls the center portion gets access to a path that leads to the middle of the map, allowing you to easily flank the other team. The center part of point C is also a perfect place to coordinate ambushes. The ultimate point here is that the entire feel of the game can significantly change depending on which direction you go, but it's important to not get too locked in on any one route. At any moment, another team could break through at another point and catch you from behind, a fact that demands a solid strategy and communication, which I think is a telling mark of a great shooter. The next pillar I want to talk about is economy. In Counter-Strike, you purchase weapons and equipment at the beginning of every round. Money is earned by doing things like killing an enemy or completing the objective. Generally, the more powerful a weapon, the more expensive it is. However, if you die during a round, you lose the weapons and equipment purchased and have to buy new things or re-buy what you previously had. This creates incredible stakes. Spending just the right way and for the right moment can be crucial, and what you'll need may change from round to round. You have to earn your weapons and then constantly prove that you're good enough to keep them. Next, I don't have a slide for this, but I want to talk about weapons. What great shooter doesn't have great weapons? And despite the word being overused, there is simply no better way to describe the arsenal in Counter-Strike beyond iconic. Anyone who has put time into the game can bring the thunderous bang of the op to mind at any moment. It's a weapon that strikes fear because its powerful sound is matched by its lethality. Yet not just any schmuck can use it. The painfully slow firing rate means it has a huge drawback that takes considerable skill and time to master. Similarly, the AK-47 is monstrous in the right hands, but its high recoil also makes the weapon a bit of a wild horse. These are just two examples, but the balance between weapons greatly reward those who actually take the time to learn, which is why they're so satisfying and ultimately fun. Lastly, I would like to talk about objectives in Counter-Strike. Objectives like bomb defusal and rescuing hostages provides another layer of strategy on top of the already thick layer present in the gunfights themselves. Say you're playing as a counter-terrorist and you hear the words, "bomb has been planted," indicating the other team has activated the bomb. Do you immediately rush over and abandon your position, or can your team safely handle it? These are the kind of decisions that lead to absolutely nail-biting rounds. There's simply nothing that beats the moment when only one terrorist and one counter-terrorist are left, and they have a duel over a ticking bomb with both trying to desperately outplay each other. Moments like this are the norm in Counter-Strike. It is a game that feeds off excitement. I hope I've given you a better understanding of that and enough to earn your vote.
Did you finish?
Yeah. Nice. I told you I timed it.
That was perfect. Very good, Ben. Very good. Who wants to go
It's
first?
funny, you timed it with, except for the sentence of, "I don't have a slide for this,"
Yeah.
and that's exactly how much time you went over.
That's true. That's true. I started the timer because I thought you were asking a question. So go.
Go ahead, Jones.
Can't you cheat at this game, like, easily?
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's what I've heard. I've heard you can, like, snipe through walls
That's
and
what I was
stuff,
gonna
and,
ask.
like,
Hacks.
You're safe.
I heard a lot of people are like, I don't play Counter-Strike anymore because it's just hard, it's hard to find a fair game of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I mean, they have implemented that. You know, they had VAC for Counter-Strike. They've had different things in Counter-Strike to try to prevent that. But I think really my argument against that question is like, there are going to be shitty people out there.
Right.
Like, if you go into an online match and somebody's being a jerk, that doesn't mean Counter-Strike isn't a great. Somebody's cheating, it doesn't mean that the game fundamentally isn't good. People cheat in real sports. That doesn't mean those real sports aren't valid. So I don't think that's a knock against the game necessarily.
Astros. Baseball still lives though.
Ben, what do you think of like some of the more iconic maps, like Inferno, Pool Day,
Dude, I
Ice
love
World?
Inferno.
Ben.
Hubert likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the map section was really tough to wrap my head around because there are so many maps to talk about that absolutely do bear mention. With Counter-Strike, I do like some maps more than others, but I think depending on who you talk to, they're going to have, different top 5 maps or something just because it means so much to them. But the thing that I want to say about Counter-Strike is, I've played some of those maps so many times that I never got sick of them. And I can't sit here and say definitively all the maps are good, but it certainly has way more than enough maps that are just truly excellent, and I would sit down and play right now.
Do you think hacks aside, fair playing field, do you think that the skill level of players still playing is so high that it's prohibitive to a new player? Someone who wants to get into Counter-Strike right now, I feel like they're at a huge disadvantage, right?
So yes and no. My argument to that is, so I just for fun, a couple weeks ago, I booted up Global Offensive, and I hadn't played Counter-Strike in forever. It had been years and years. And I had a great time. Now, I had played a ton of Counter-Strike in the past, but I think the thing that's appealing about Counter-Strike is, yes, there's a ton of complexity, but its base is really simple. You point and shoot. It's not like you have to figure out some combination of inputs or a new way to play. If you've played a first-person shooter before, you have a base to start with to Counter-Strike. And so as long as you have a little bit of grit, you'll see progress pretty quickly.
We're talking about 1.6, right?
What version are you talking?
Okay,
Yeah.
1.6 or go.
Or Source.
Here is my argument and why I framed the presentation the way that I did. I'm presenting it as Counter-Strike, just in general. Counter-Strike has evolved, and there have been changes to it over time, but a lot of what I'm presenting as a great carries
Bossman
across other versions.
Like
and
D&D and Tetris.
Yeah, so in a lot of ways, what I'm talking about can apply to pretty much every version of Counter-Strike that is in my presentation. I'm just saying Counter-Strike for the sake of simplicity.
Okay. Not a question, but the hostages are hilarious.
The hostages are, yes, they absolutely are.
How quick is just accessing the game? Is this something that I need to get the right server on? Is it something that if I die, I gotta wait 20 minutes to get back in? What's the ebb and flow between matches and when I die, how quick can I get back into the game?
So if we're talking just bare bones traditional Counter-Strike, the way that it works, and this ties into the economy, is if you die, you're out until the next round. And so you can die extremely quickly. One shot, you're gone. So that is not going to be for everybody, and that you can play a more traditional team deathmatch style if you want to. That's available for you. This is a game that is flexible and has options, which if I had more time, I think that would be another good thing to bring up. The way that Counter-Strike has mutated is a big part of it. But at its core, this is a game about stakes. It is a game where you need to value your life. It is not run around with your head cut off Call of Duty.
Do you think the real money skins has sullied the game at all?
I have not engaged with it enough to properly answer that question.
Gotcha.
3, 2, 1. Hall of Greats is closed.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very, very nice.
We did it. We didn't tear each other apart.
Woo! Made it.
Made it.
All right.
Made it through.
I was ready to kill
Yeah.
Kyle, though.
Sullied.
Sullied.
Yeah.
Sully?
Yeah.
No!
That's the word you use. Sullied.
Yeah, some weird stuff there.
Mark Wahlberg,
Dude, I'm pumped.
Mark Wahlberg?
Nate! Sully. Yeah.
Like 7 years ago, 7 years ago, he was cast as Drake.
That is
Now he's,
really?
Yeah.
7 years.
7
years.
It's been.
Hey, it
through,
only
like,
takes 2 movies to go from young James Bond to old dog James Bond.
True.
So who knows?
No, Daniel
You're
Craig
with
was
it.
never young James Bond.
in Casino
Royale, he's
super,
he's the fresh-faced
Yeah.
new guy on the
He's
block.
he's a rookie, but he wasn't young.
No,
I don't think the
but
point is
they made a point of being like, oh, it gets easier, like whatever.
It was his
killing.
first kill, yeah.
And then, but then like 2 movies later, they're like, oh, he's out. You put him out to pasture.
Yeah, he's like old Snake.
Yeah. Though I imagine like being a 00, you age fast.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right.
Probably got like a 4-year life expectancy.
Just like Dark Knight Rises, dude.
He had his
was bad
nuts
for a few
hammered in
years.
by a rope ball, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, that's it, dude.
And then he was like, whatever's left of me, Vesper.
Yeah.
Whatever's left is
Mads got him in
yours.
the nads. All right. Here's what's going to happen now. We're all going to get 5 coins, and we are
Six.
6 chips.
1, 2,
6
3,
chips.
4, 5.
We have canisters over here that we can put those chips in. We can give 1 chip to one game, 2 chips to another game, and 3 chips to another game. Obviously, the 3 chips going to our first choice, the 1 chip going to our third choice, and so on.
It's a
And
flawed
then,
system.
Mr. Michael Damiani is going to tally all of them up when we are done with that process. We are going to move a microphone over so you can hear us, and we are going to have our deliberations, or we're going to talk about why we picked what we picked. And all of you will be privy to that. The other people will not. And then we'll figure out what gets inducted, if it indeed gets inducted today.
Can you
Might
vote-
have a time.
Can you vote for your own game?
We cannot vote
No.
for your own game.
No alliances.
No backdoor shady deals, no alliances. You're basing it on the strength of the presentation and the strength of the game, or whatever crazy rules.
What happens
you
if a
come up
game
with.
doesn't get any votes?
If a game does not get any votes, it is not eligible to be considered for Hall of Greats for another full year. Are there any other crazy rules?
I think
That's
that's
it. Forget it.
That's
That's
it.
it, folks. Time to vote.
Let me set up
Wonderful
my
job,
Grab
everyone.
that one behind you there.
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Jones, you were first, dude.
Oh, that's
Oh
right.
yeah. You gotta get
Oh,
these
I don't
back
even
in
know
order.
what. Oh no! Oh no! I'm gonna have to take some time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh no!
Audio's good on that.
Oh no!
Chat. Say something real quick, Brendan. Test. Just say.
Oh hey, testing. 1, 2, 3. Hey,
Did I look at everything, chat?
What's up, chat?
So I'm
How
gonna
you
head
doing?
out now of the
What's up,
room.
chat? We're gonna talk about these awesome games
Stop
that are here.
Stop hitting the mic.
Stop hitting the mics. I can hit that mic. I'm just gonna talk about video games. Okay, fair. It's above the can, so you don't get the clunkiness. You're not gonna hear that clunk.
I mean, it's a shitty.
Oh.
And he's not really lit, so. I can hit him with this red light.
All right.
Quick, before the door shuts.
Oh boy. Hi everybody. I'm not gonna take too much time here. My third is killing me right now. I have no idea. So let's get the first 2 out of the way. I've said lots of in the podcast every week. I've said a lot of things about this game, but you could absolutely feel the passion from Brad talking about Final Fantasy VII, and I think it's obviously a huge heavy hitter, a really big deal. I think Sephiroth is, one of the best Final Fantasy characters that's ever been created. I think that's just an absolutely fascinating tale. It's just technically, it's just a bummer. Some of the things about that game, that I don't enjoy for reasons that I haven't played it. But I was absolutely riveted during that presentation. I think it's time. So I'm gonna drop 3 for Brad for Final Fantasy VII. I'm gonna give 2 to Counter-Strike. I really liked that presentation. Talk about another game that I haven't played, that much. But I think in talking about what Kyle was attempting to do, in talking about Dungeons and Dragons, is it edition 1? Is it the whole thing? Are we including movies and comic books and novels and stuff like? There's Dragonlance. Should we just bring Dragonlance into it? But I really think Counter-Strike, when you talk about shooters, when you talk about excellence, I think the proof is in the pudding. I think billions of people can't be wrong. A lot of people have tried that game. A lot of people talk about that game absolutely being the bleeding edge of skill in shooters. And just on top of that, I think Ben did a dynamite presentation. So I'm going to give 2 to Counter-Strike. And then I don't know, probably Metal Gear Solid 3. Even though I really do depend.
I haven't finished Final Fantasy VII. I haven't played a lot of Counter-Strike, and I haven't finished Metal Gear Solid 3, even though I did the Final Fantasy retrospective and I did the Metal Gear Solid retrospective. So I know these stories. I know these games. I know what happens. I know the mechanics and everything. Shout out to Blood for bringing Animal Crossing. I love you, Don, for bringing Alien vs. Predator. I think the story in AVP is a little silly. I don't know about the story adaptation, really being effective there, and that the D&D argument is just complete nonsense. And I love Spider-Man. I love it. I think it's great. I'm really excited for Spider-Man 2. But we talk about greats. I think MGS3 is that, even though Ian, man, he just wants it to. He just comes, he just brings in, and he just really wants to test your patience. But that's a good game. There you go. Let me get the order. Somebody grab the cards. Who's next? Did somebody grab the cards? Kyle.
Number one choice, super easy for me this week, this month, this quarter. Alien versus Predator. Take my votes. Take all three. Killer presentation from Don. And just generally, I'm in this mood right now where it's like, times have to change. The Hall of Greats needs Aliens versus Predator. I hope that it gets like a 1 or a 2 from everyone else where they're like, man, that was a good presentation, man. Like, I'm just tossing one to Don. I'm sneaking my 3 in there. I want this to be in the top 2. I want to lit an arcade game, and this is the arcade game. This is the one. Honestly, it's not like there's Donkey Kong, right? Still a great game, still innovative, still things. This is the game that we need to make a statement with the Hall of Greats, what greatness is, and that game is greatness. My 2 goes to Final Fantasy VII. Brad has been waiting on this since the Hall of Greats started. This was a calculated decision to bring Final Fantasy VII this time. It's a good presentation. Yeah, you know what? I just got to give it my 2. I have a hard time faulting it. And here's the crazy thing. Hubert, props for bringing Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. Metal Gear Solid 3, great, but Metal Gear Solid 1's already in. Obviously, the presentation is... Blood hit me with Animal Crossing. I was ready to be rolling my eyes the whole time. Toward the end, I was getting like emotional about Animal Crossing, and like something about that presentation struck a chord, and I'm like, man, Animal Crossing is great. That's simply the truth. I'm not gonna even troll the Q&A. Like, I'm just like, you know what? Give it up for Animal Crossing. Give that kind of game a greatness, the tip of the cap to greatness. So yeah, those are my 3 votes. Thanks for your patience.
Well, I think, hey chat. I think it's telling as hell that I've got the Final Fantasy VII music just like stuck in my head now. And I really want... Okay, so AVP, Animal Crossing, Plants vs. Zombie, Counter-Strike, Dungeons & Dragons, Metal Gear's Mine, Spider-Man, and Final Fantasy. This is a little tougher than I thought it would be. I'm gonna take these blues. I mean, I want to give Dungeons & Dragons my 1 just out of like solidarity, because I brought that before, and I'm pretty sure Bosman's not making fun of me, but I don't know, you can never tell. I feel like I don't need to give Final Fantasy VII my 3, because I feel like everyone's gonna give it their 3. But I don't know what else I would give my 3 to. All right. There's no chance in hell Dungeons & Dragons is gonna win. So I'm not gonna waste a vote on it. Ben's presentation was incredible. I really loved it. I think here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go 1 to Counter-Strike. But I played a lot of Counter-Strike. Here's the thing. I played a lot of Counter-Strike when I was a kid. I like Dave Defeat better. But I haven't played AVP, but it looks so cool, and Don was super into it. So I'm torn with my 1 or my 2. All right, how about this? I'm gonna give 1 to Counter-Strike. I'm gonna give 2 to Final Fantasy VII. And I'm gonna give 3 to AVP. Just trusting in Don, and I liked his video. And hopefully he brings in that big thing so we can play it. Whew, there we go. Here's hoping. Next.
Show me 3, 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 show me 3. Show me 3. Alrighty. What's up, y'all? There are very few games. Very few games, because there's always the argument, right, of like, well, no video game is perfect. A 10 out of 10 isn't perfect. There are very few games that I do think are perfect, but there are some. And to me, wait, hold that thought. I need to check the rules. Hold on. Yo, are we telling them what we're voting for? Yes. Okay. Okay. I didn't want to botch this. I didn't want to botch it. I'm sorry. I didn't want to botch it. I'm telling you what I'm voting for. 3 for Counter-Strike. A perfect video game with a healthy dose of nostalgia, sure. But that is a game that still holds up today. I can hop into Counter-Strike right now and still have an amazing time, dude. It's perfect. The next 2 votes are for one of the greatest entries in a specific genre, and that is without a doubt. And the presentation was 10 out of 10, phenomenal. Alien versus Predator. It's one of the best beat-em-ups of all time that didn't get a lot of chips in there, didn't get enough credit over the years because it was so impossible to get a hold of. Now with this Capcom thing that Don has, that game hopefully can be more recognized. Also, the AVP brand has been sullied. I'm using that word a lot. But this was before that sullying of the brand. For my final chip, this is really tough because I am infinitely more attached to Metal Gear Solid 3 than Final Fantasy VII. But I don't know how I feel about the presentation. I'm gonna give it to Metal Gear Solid 3. I'm gonna give it to Metal Gear Solid 3 because in this moment, thinking of this is giving me goosebumps and chills over stuff over here. That's it. That was the tiebreaker. Giving me chills right now. Metal Gear Solid 3. Thanks, chat. Alright. It's me. We tell them why we voted for them, right? Yeah, of course. I just didn't want to spoil anything. I didn't want to spoil anything. I was about to. Woohoo! Yeah. Hey, chat. It's your boy Brad, here to vote for some games. I'll tell you straight up, chat. I don't know where your camera is, but I'm not voting for Dungeons & Dragons, dude. Too cute. Get out of here, Kyle. Not happening. I'm going to give 3 points to Counter-Strike. I love Counter-Strike. I think Counter-Strike is fantastic. Beautiful game. This is tough. I don't know what to give my 2 to. I really like Metal Gear Solid 3, but I wasn't feeling the presentation. I think it's a great game, though. I love Metal Gear Solid 3. Animal Crossing... yeah, Animal Crossing 1's... The GameCube one's good, but I don't know. I'm gonna give... I think Spider-Man 2 is really good. I like Spider-Man 2. Or Spider-Man. I'm gonna give it 2. My last chip, I'm gonna give to Alien vs. Predator. I love Alien vs. Predator. It is a bummer that it's so hard to get, but I think it's a great game.
I had the privilege of playing it when it was in our arcade. So yeah, that's it for me. On with the next person.
All right. Let's see. I like these these navy bluish ones, chat. Okay, let's take a look. What do we got? What's happening? Man, this is tough. Like I've got one. Okay, I got one for sure. For Counter-Strike, even though I have no experience with Counter-Strike, honestly, but I've got the respect for it. I know enough about it to know that it's high caliber, legendary game, and that's a good presentation as well. But I got to figure out what my other ones are to decide whether that's my 3-pointer. I think it is my 3-pointer. Okay, 3-pointer Counter-Strike. But then. Okay, 2-pointer is AVP. Again, another game I don't have that much experience with, but I've heard these guys talk a lot about it. It definitely looks cool. It definitely looks like something that not only deserves it, but will be hard pressed to come back. So we gotta get some votes in there while it's here. Well, we have the opportunity. And then... Okay. My last chip is between Final Fantasy VII and Metal Gear Solid 3. I feel like both of these games will probably come back if they don't get in. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with Final Fantasy VII. I've got issues with the game, but I also think it's definitely deserving of the title and should be in here. All right, I'll go get Don. Don.
Good evening. Okay, let's see. What have we got here? Some very nice choices. Whoops, sorry about that. Oh boy. All right, let's see. So, Counter-Strike. Ben's presentation was excellent. Already a bunch of love for that game ingrained in me, but Ben really drove it home with his presentation. It was quite impressive. So for that, I'm going to give it 3. Okay. Now, for 2, I'm going to give to Final Fantasy VII, which I also think Brad's presentation was fabulous. All the presentations were fabulous, let's be honest. Can't pick them all. Last, this is unexpected. No one sees this coming. My last vote. Plants vs. Zombies. Can you believe this? I wouldn't have believed it when Jones started his presentation, but by the time he finished it, his genuine, honest love for that game and the repetitive experience that he enjoys in it, just like, I felt it, and I just feel like maybe that game shouldn't get banned. So 1 on that one. All right, we got to deposit these. Here we go. Bam, bam, bam. Bam. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, cheers, everybody.
Okay, who's next? You
All right, what up? 3 points. You know it was going where it was going before I sat down. How is Final Fantasy VII not in the Hall of Greats already? Also, great job, Brad. I do really take the presentations into consideration, and I thought Brad did a good job. Next, 2 points to Animal Crossing. I love Animal Crossing, and I thought Blood did a very good job despite making it up on the fly. I was very impressed. Good job to both. Ooh, you can hear some chips in there. Last, I have never played this game, not for a single second, but I could feel the passion emanating from Mr. Don Casanova. He deserves this. He deserves this point. There are some clinks in there.
Woo! You gotta wait for Damiani to get Cam back up.
That's nice because it's a hard edge and you just.
Oh, edge.
Edge.
Hi, everybody.
Just put a mask and don't.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back.
Around the desk. There we go. But yeah,
Oh, man.
Thank
you for your patience, everyone.
That was brutal for me.
It's
one of the hardest ones.
Yeah. You always have trouble ranking in squad. I know that about you.
True.
I actually got a fun thing, a fun little some data to go through while Mr.
Data or data?
Either depends.
Data. What?
What's
yeah.
up?
Yep.
That's what's happening.
Whites don't count.
Whites don't.
Yeah.
Mr. Mikey Mizek Novak, who has been a long time friend of Easy Allies and GT back in the day, sent me some hilarious stats. Now, again, this is provided by him, so I have to trust his calculations. But these are pretty insane calculations. This is he spent a lot of time watching previous Hall of Greats and adding all of this up. This is a tally of various stats from previous Hall of Greats, and I want to posit to the group if they can correctly answer some of these. So, First one is the average time taken during Confession Cam.
5 minutes.
Per ally.
Okay.
Average per ally?
Who has the shortest average Confession Cam time?
Me.
Kyle.
Brad or Ian?
Don.
Everyone's wrong. Ben Moore.
Wow.
Who has the average most?
Brandon Jones.
Brandon Jones.
Bloodworth.
Huber.
Or Bloodworth.
Again, wrong. Michael Damiani.
Whoa!
Damiani.
The shortest average time, Ben Moore with 52 seconds.
Damn.
Bradley Ellis is next with 1 minute 1 second.
Just getting it done.
Ian right on top of that with 1 minute 4 seconds. Again, this is
So
average
close,
time.
close.
Yeah.
Huber, surprisingly on top of just fourth from the bottom,
I
1
gave it
minute
up.
36 seconds.
Nah, dude, I think you boosted that tonight.
Boosted.
Yeah.
I took a long time tonight.
Because you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil it. I'm snowing.
You left the room 3 times.
Got it.
Bossman right on top of that, 1 minute 38 seconds. I'm right on top of Bossman, 1 minute 44. Don Casanova taking his sweet time with 1 minute 51 seconds.
I gotta stop chatting it up so much. I gotta reel pull back.
Bloodworth taking us into 2 minutes with 2 minute 10 seconds.
I thought we were supposed to be short. We
And
are.
then non-stop Damiani, 2 minutes 31 seconds on average.
He's taking an extra 30 next to the next closest person.
Wow. I thought Jones was the filibusterer.
Me too.
Knowing what you know now, what was the longest deliberation ever and by whom?
So I think that's a trick. It's not Damiani.
It's probably not Damiani.
Confession Cam or?
Yeah.
I remember
Confession
being
Cam.
like pained one time, and I could not decide. Maybe me.
It is Michael Damiani.
Oh.
Hall of Greats 10, the last Hall of Greats that we did, the one that I missed. 420.
4 minutes and 20 seconds?
You memeing?
That's almost as long as
You memeing with that time?
He was memeing?
But
That's
I
as long
think
as
that might have been
communication.
influenced by we weren't talking about our picks specifically, so he might have
Okay.
talked about everything.
I think he was, because according to Mizek, 420 even.
Wow.
Yeah,
There
that's a
were
meme.
milliseconds
He's got an
included.
internal clock for memes.
Yeah.
I love it. Who is the shortest?
he just said blazing
and
long.
how long? I'm curious if people can get, because this is an insanely short amount of time. I gotta go back and watch
I
this Hall of
remember one
Greats.
time I just walked in and dropped and
I
left.
definitely did
Wow.
too, but
Yeah.
Okay.
neither one of us got it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Michael Huber, Hall of Greats 5, 21 seconds.
Whoa, that's in and out. That's
I wonder what
good.
games they were.
And I'm curious if this was appearance on screen or talking, from like the first word to the
I
last
wonder.
word.
Right.
That's funny though, because definitely there's been a time where I was just like 3 to this, 2 to this, 1 to this.
What game got the most votes?
Ever?
Ever.
Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Yes, Chrono Trigger.
That's right.
Do we remember how many votes?
Like 30.
It was like 29 or something?
21.
Oh.
What was the least voted win?
Least voted win?
Least voted
I
win.
think it was Pokemon.
Great guess.
Any other guesses?
Pokemon.
Thousand Year Door.
I'm trying to remember the wins.
Three-way tie.
Tetris?
Symphony of the Night?
Three-way tie. Pokemon Red and Blue, and The Last Hall of Greats, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and The Last of Us.
Oh, both of them.
Tied for 8 votes.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
What was the most voted loss?
Final Fantasy 9.
Final Fantasy 9.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just missed it.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night,
Well, fair.
12 votes.
But it got in eventually later.
It got in eventually.
Redemption.
Didn't make it in that time. And what is the most nominated game, regardless of whether it got in or not?
Number of times.
Mega Man Legends.
It is also a three-way tie. Bloodborne, The Last of Us, and Mega Man Legends.
Whoa.
Nice try, Kyle.
I had to bring Bloodborne
Nice
like 8
try.
times.
Those other 2 games got in, though. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
You just keep going.
Right.
Yes.
Did anyone else bring Last of Us?
It was just you.
Did Jones bring it?
Did I bring it 3 times?
Yeah.
I think I brought.
Yeah, you're real upset.
Did you bring Bloodborne one time?
Maybe.
Because I don't remember if I got
I
it
might
or
have.
someone else
I
did.
feel like I brought it twice.
This is probably the easiest question on this list. Who got the most greats in?
Damiani.
Hubert?
Bossman or Ben?
It's not easy, dude.
It's not
It
easy.
used to be Damiani. He was on a hot streak, and then he started like doing Skyrim, and I don't know what happened. Damiani had
Damiani
a good
dominates. Damiani dominates.
Oh, okay.
4.5 because Damiani and Brad both brought Mario 64 to Hall of Greats.
That was Kyle's fault.
That was Kyle's fault.
Yep. This is a super fun stat. Most nominated year. The most nominated
96.
year.
98.
97 or 98.
Dude. Was MGS 198?
Yes.
Yeah, and Ocarina of Time.
97.
97!
Nice.
Such a good year. 97.
Symphony of the Night.
9 games.
Final Fantasy 7.
games.
Yep.
Nominated.
I guess Pokemon's 97 too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Curious specifically what this means. 2002 is the average and median nominee age. I guess just the average of all the years.
Yeah.
Sure.
Interesting.
The average win age is the year 2000, and the median win age is 1997.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Easy Allies Hall of Greats.
Yay.
Broken down in exhaustive detail.
Very cool.
Thank you to our wonderful
Thank you
friend
for
Mike
doing
Zach
that.
so much.
Super cool.
That is so cool.
And we probably still have to
How are we
stall
doing
for time,
Damiani?
Damiani, possibly?
I got the tallies of showing these quick slides. You could
Oh, we got the.
ones with the logos and stuff with past
So
winners.
these are past winners.
And then we got the montage of all the character art together, added with last
Oh, sick.
all great.
Nice.
I want to see Geralt.
Careful, don't see the winner.
Yeah, spoilers, dude.
I'm not looking. I'm not looking.
Turn that mic on.
Awesome.
I'll turn it on.
Super cool. Super cool.
I didn't want the chips making loud noises, but I'm back on. Okay, we're
ready.
So how am I revealing these again?
Bottom
The winners. So
Bottom,
the winners.
bottom.
I reveal when we get to the winners. I reveal first the 3 top ones, right?
The top 3.
I reveal
get to the top
first.
3.
I reveal first place winner, and then I reveal the second or third place.
Yeah, I
Perfect.
think that's
Yeah.
right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Wait,
we'll go
first,
in reverse order.
Did anything
first.
not get any votes?
So unfortunately,
You'll say
we
that.
do have one single game
Ooh.
that got 0
I don't like
votes.
this, dude. This feels bad.
Who is it?
And
Tell me about it.
the game that got my mic is on, right, chat?
This feels bad.
Okay, they hear me. Okay, good. The one that got 0 votes. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Somebody voted for PVZ.
Nice work, Joe.
So Dungeons and Dragons is now banned for a year.
Another
Scared
year.
and mad. Scared
Scared.
and mad.
Just
More
mad.
bad than scared. More
Just
bad than
mad.
scared.
Just
mad.
More bad than
I almost
scared.
gave it a solidarity vote.
Scared is coming back in a year, that's for sure.
Actually, that's kind of funny that you didn't.
Yeah, I was
And,
certain you were gonna.
Because I knew none of you were gonna. That's how voting works.
As I'm going through these, chat, do a @Easy Allies if for whatever reason you think I got the tally wrong, but I'm pretty sure I got all these correct this time.
I'm gonna get my argument laminated.
But yeah,
I'm just gonna be like,
I have them all. I kept them in the things this time. So if anyone has a question, we can open them up and you can.
Oh, great.
All right. So coming. So now in second to last place, in 7th place, with 1 vote, staving off the 1-year ban, Plants vs. Zombies.
Thank you.
Saving it off like the zombie horde.
Did we say who votes keeping that house safe? No, I played the first Garden Warfare though a ton. Loved it.
Are we revealing who voted for stuff or no?
Let's do it when we're done.
If you want to.
Oh, okay.
Is it you?
No. I'm curious who voted for it.
I'm curious too. I'm curious too.
I'm curious.
I have a guess. I have a guess.
Okay.
Was it Don?
Yeah.
It's not Don.
No, it's not Don. All right. Next.
Wait, no, who was it?
Wait, who was it?
It's Blood.
Look at Blood. It was Blood. Yeah. It was
Wait, no one voted for it?
Who voted for it?
I was just saying, I don't know.
Was it you, Hubert?
I swear it was
totally
not
Don.
me. This is not a bit.
Don,
I
was it you?
swear
Plants vs. Zombies.
It was Don.
It was Don.
It was
I was about to say, chat saying who it was. I can say who they're claiming it
He
is.
loves it.
Chat saw the
It was a
confessional, so I can just
It
have
was a
chat.
great presentation.
I didn't want that thing.
Chat
to
is
get
screaming
banned.
Dawn. Yes.
That's too deep a love.
He
to
said he
ban
didn't
something.
know. Why did you say that? I don't know. Why
I wasn't aware. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't.
You did know though. You did know.
All right. So, you ready?
Better argument next time.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Next two tied for 5th place, both with 2 votes each. Marvel's Spider-Man and Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
After that fire presentation?
Here's the presentation. So hold up. That means that we're top heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those two tied for 5. And
So
we have
fourth place.
Yes.
Fourth place got 3
I
votes,
got you.
and then it's like astronomical beyond that.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah.
There's 4 games left.
There's a huge gap between 3rd and 4th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So coming in 4th place
straight,
with
baby, I thought.
3 votes, Animal Crossing.
Still in it.
Still in it?
Which means our
Okay, I gave 2 to Animal Crossing.
Nice.
our top
Thank you.
3, the top 3, are vying for the entry are Counter-Strike, Final Fantasy VII, and Alien vs. Predator.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Let's go AVP!
Closer than ever before.
Let's go AVP!
So I'll reveal the first place winner with the most votes. With 15 votes coming in first place, Counter-Strike.
Oh! You guys hate PC games! What do you mean? It's a good ass game!
Very good game.
First place was not
Very
Final
good.
Fantasy VII? I was shocked by that. What the hell?
Counter-Strike is perfect, dude.
No, you
A
don't
lot
have
of
a chance
votes.
in
I
hell.
don't have a chance.
You don't have a chance
But that
in
was a
hell.
lot of votes, though.
Holy shit, first place?
Feels good.
You hit that mic.
Feels good, man.
Fix the I didn't even get to show my second anime gift.
Doesn't matter. The A,
good presentation.
the A and B and C was enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that-
A, B, and C.
The A and B and C threw it over the top.
That means the last spot is between Final Fantasy VII and Alien vs. Predator.
Please be AVP. Please be AVP.
Coming in, it was 13 to 12. The
Oh my
final
God.
count by one vote.
Oh, really?
right.
One vote
There's
separating
nothing wrong with
it.
that.
Wow.
Losing by 1 is pretty close.
Winning second place with 13 votes. Final Fantasy VII.
Damn it!
Good job, buddy. Good job. PowerPoints rule the day.
Now I don't have to be
I
ashamed
gave 3 to 5.
of this company.
I gave 2 to AVP.
I gave 3 to
Yeah, where did these
I will say,
I gave 2 to AVP.
I gave 2.
I gave you 1.
I gave.
and honestly, I will say
Thank you. Hey, that was a lot of votes.
So if I didn't give that one
I'm
to
sorry,
Final
Don.
Fantasy
I gave
VII,
10 to
to
AVP.
alleviate,
Thank you, but
12. That's
to
I
alleviate
feel
any
bad.
concerns,
You gave 3
how I would have voted would not have changed the results.
Okay.
It would have ended up in a 2-way tie for first
You
place.
can't do would-have because you would have introduced a whole other game and then
Yeah.
that
Throw
Right.
everything
can't
off,
even.
yeah.
Can't
Throw a
do
wrench in
would-have.
it.
Well, no,
Yeah.
people asking like, why didn't Dummy even vote?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered.
You would have brought
Don't
like
worry.
Breath of the Wild
But he-
or something.
Yeah.
Dummy, I
All
didn't
hell
vote because he didn't bring a
breaks
game.
loose.
That was the qualification.
All breaks
All hell
loose.
breaks loose.
That would have cracked us open.
Yeah.
It would have just made a mess.
Turn chat back on.
Okay.
I missed that.
You got it.
I can't handle it.
Yeah, now the judgment's been made.
Would have
Yeah.
been Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Every time.
Wow.
There they are.
But Skyrim on like what is it, the Amazon Echo?
Yeah.
That version.
Yeah.
Damian didn't bring a game because he was scared, right? Wasn't that the?
Yeah,
did we
scared.
talk about that
Mad and
before?
scared.
Yeah. We have
Mad
a
and scared.
If you're mad and scared, you don't have to present.
It's kind of like a shell shock thing, you know. Like I actually missed the last Hall of Grades, so that emboldened me to bring
I get to see
something I
everyone's
was a little more
picks,
passionate about.
and I saw Kyle's pick, and I like literally stormed over to like Kyle's place, drove all the way over there, and I was like, Kyle, you cannot do this.
Yeah.
You will destroy the Hall of Grades by doing this. And we had a disagreement. I was like, that's it. I'm not participating in this one. Bye.
Yeah, scared and mad.
I was so certain Kyle was going to win, and it was going to forever change the course of Hall of Grades.
Yeah, I was
Alien
not.
versus Predator would have changed.
I was
the
scared.
course.
I was scared to
I'm
forever change
shocked.
the Hall of Grades.
Well, I'm seriously bringing Endgame next time, so.
I'll consider
Go for it. That
We're
makes
giving
things
you
easier.
If you make it,
I'm
giving you 0.
I'll consider it.
That makes
Hubert,
things
when you
much
started
easier.
your presentation, I thought you were bringing Martin Scorsese.
Coming after you in that debate.
I really
I'm gonna bring not because it doesn't qualify.
Hubert, I will bring Martin Scorsese next time.
I thought you were literally bringing Martin Scorsese.
Like literally, I'll bring him here. He'll be here.
Marty's in the green room.
He'll be a guest.
I thought that's what.
He's eating Yule scum right now.
Yes, he's in the back. Marty, come on out.
Get him in. I'm bringing you all come next time.
If you dug the Hall of Greats, we do this every 3 months or so. Sometimes people reach out to us. They're like, "Hey, Hall of Greats time. Things happen. Games, sometimes take priority. But around 3 to 4 months from now, we will do another Hall of Greats in 2020, y'all.
Yeah, wow.
Dungeons and Dragons will not be at that Hall of Greats. Anything else not at that Hall of Greats? Anything else that's on?
Dark Souls is banned
Oh
still.
yeah, Dark Souls still.
Will
You
the
monsters?
No, it just
Is
misses
Dark
it.
Souls banned or just the remastered?
Like 4 months. Will the next Hall of
Loopholes.
Greats be after Final Fantasy VII Remake is released?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay. Okay.
That's
It'll
like
be
March.
in February?
Doesn't matter. You wouldn't vote for it anyway.
GoldenEye is also
Bring it,
banned.
bro.
No way. GoldenEye has to be free by
Bring
next
that
one,
thing.
right?
Oh, by
Bring it
next one. I
crazy?
don't know about next one.
New games don't get in, dude.
You know what I'm bringing next time? What? Dirge of Cerberus.
Dude, I would love to hear your presentation.
I'm bringing my retrospective footage, man.
Dude,
Play that for the retro.
Yuffie and
Enjoy
Vincent
it.
It had its chance.
Lucrezia.
But so we will not do Hall of Greats for a while, but we do stream a ton, and we do our group streams every Tuesday night. So we'll be back. Do we have some in the calendar, or was that we got one more group stream in November, right? And then it's December.
next week.
Oh,
week's
yeah, I think we're doing
Jackbox.
Jackbox, yeah.
Yes.
Jackbox next.
Yeah.
We haven't even
I'll
done
be
Jackbox
gone.
in
And
a
Don's
few
gone
hours.
too.
man.
Did you guys do that because I was gone?
We didn't do it because, but I saw you
How
gone on that day.
fortuitous.
I'm like
Thank
happy
you,
for
thank
you.
you, thank you. Nice.
Oh man, I'm bringing Jackbox.
I'll be in Iowa next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll have some people out for sure.
Well, all right. And we're doing other fun streams. What are the fun streams we got coming up? I botched the schedule because I saw Pokemon and I thought it was you guys that were playing Pokemon tomorrow night. But you're playing Pokemon tomorrow. Somebody's playing Pokemon.
Yeah, with my
tomorrow.
friend from Canada.
Nice.
Yes. So my friend from Canada is coming over.
Does he exist?
He does exist. We're going
We've seen
to
Kyle's friend from
look at
Canada.
each of the new Pokemon from Sword
Thank
and
you,
Shield,
Melchior.
give them a score on a scale of 1 to 10 with a decimal point after it.
Nice.
We're going to give our top 5 moments, our top 5 bottom moments, bad moments from the games, and then we're going to battle randoms online.
Awesome.
Nice.
And we're going to guess each other's teams.
Sounds fun.
Before that.
Before everything.
Before all of that.
Tomorrow morning,
The
grand finale of Achieve It Yourself.
Woo!
Exclusive to patrons.
Yeah.
The best episode, Achieve It Yourself, will go public to everybody. The grand finale is not the best episode, unfortunately. It's just the way things work
That's
out.
just the way the ice cream crumbles.
Yeah, so patrons get like a less good episode. So sorry, patrons.
Still good.
But the public gets
Maybe
a
go
real
rewatch
free
last week's.
Yeah.
Really get that jolt.
and then that'll go public a week later. It's just how we've rolled that series out. But yeah, new episode tomorrow morning. It's really cool.
You guys are up?
Majora's Mask.
Are you gonna take on the temple now? You ready to take it on?
The Great Bay
Water,
Temple.
gears,
That
laser
I know
puzzles.
nothing about. I know nothing about it. Cool. Just like most of this game.
Here we go.
Yep.
What day is that?
Tomorrow.
Wednesday. That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then Thursday, before Ben takes off, we got some mana and some hunts.
Anime.
Weekly hunts.
Weekly hunts.
Silver Squad's back?
Silver Squad's back.
Normal schedule unless the internet crashes.
Unless the internet crashes.
Yeah.
Just booked this right before tonight. Stoked about it. Finished Fallen Order this morning. I'm going to sit down Thursday night after all of that craziness with Michael Huber and Brad Ellis. We're going to do a spoiler mode for Fallen Order.
Nice.
Taking notes. I was taking notes through my whole
baby.
playthrough. I
Yeah,
paused the
please
game.
do.
Fascinating. Click, click, click.
Oh my
So
God.
excited to go through all of that stuff.
The people in this room have already
assist.
gotten a preview of this spoiler mode.
Wow, that's so good.
That was cold-blooded.
Yeah.
Oh!
If you don't get what he means, Jones just jabbers.
Jones
is
loves to
jabber.
spoil.
Yeah, before we went live, Jones is jabbering.
Excited.
There have been times where
Let's get
Huber's
started.
like spear tackled Jones from across the room to keep him from talking.
We had to replace the glass
window
pane.
Yeah, he broke a window one time. Back in
Jabber
05.
Jones. Jabber Jones is
We
too
had
good.
Jabber Jones.
some more goodness on Friday.
Oh, Box
New
Beat,
episode on this.
episode
Oh, yeah.
8, baby.
Nice.
11 a.m. Pacific time, and then we'll do an hour-long Q&A right after that.
Sick.
Yep.
And then Blood Pact is up right after that. Poll's close, I guess I can say it. Doing some catch up. Playing Devil May Cry 5.
Ooh.
Wow.
Pulling devil triggers.
That's right.
Blood best boy.
Happy
No,
birthday to
I'm also
Half-Life,
Friday 'cause I stream
apparently.
tomorrow.
Gotcha.
And then coming up for early access this weekend on Frame Trap, it's gonna be a good one. Brandon Jones, myself, and Kyle Bossman will be talking about Pokemon, Jedi Fallen Order, and whatever else.
And then Saturday night, unless I'm jumping something,
No.
pretty fun episode of Easy Update. We had no internet, so we made some internet lemonade out of the lemons of no internet. And Bossman and I, and maybe some surprise contenders, had a Who's the Best at the No Internet Dinosaur game. So that'll be Friday, Saturday
I
night.
have no idea what that is, but it's fun.
Yeah, if you have no internet in Chrome, there's a little game that happens, and so we tried to see who was the best at it, and the results may surprise you. It's got an anime arc in there, that episode. Anyway.
Whew. And then after all of that, we'll be back next Tuesday, regular time, 6 p.m. Pacific time, playing Jackbox, talking again about all the fun stuff that we're doing here at Easy A. We got the stream that you just saw. Actually, the Hall of Greats goes to our main channel, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the only streams that we do that goes to our main channel. All the other streams go to Easy Allies Plays, but you can check out Easy Allies and Easy Allies Plays on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and you can go to easyallies.com if you want to see all of that schedule in your time zone. But if you really dug this and you, the vibes feels good. Vibes feel good in this room, even after this Hall of Greats. If you enjoy these vibes.
I think one of our most cordial Hall of Greats of all time.
Yeah.
We did have Brad stand up and point the finger at you at one point.
That was good.
It's a circus. What do you want me to do? Someone's got to keep it on track.
If you would like to keep these jolly vibes going, you can go to patreon.com/EasyAllies, support us financially there. There's all sorts of stuff that you can get only exclusively, as Boston was talking about. You can get stuff early, you can get stuff that is only exclusively produced for our Patreon. And you can support us financially if you want to get those rewards. Check it out. Or you can just go, see posts and keep up with us if you just go to our, patreon.com/EasyAllies. We greatly appreciate it, or you can just give us a sub here. Thanks to our mods, thanks to everybody who subbed and resubbed tonight. And we will see you very soon on this channel. Thanks for watching, everybody.